everybody, this is Martin Stokes here.
And this is Pauline Scurry.
And I am a traveller.
And I am a countryman.
Welcome to A Traveller
and a Countryman podcast. Happy days. So here we are, episode 17.
17, yes.
And our guest today is me ma.
Dean's ma.
Me ma.
Pauline.
Very
Pauline.
good.
Pauline Scurry.
Pauline Scurry is very
For years
welcome.
we used to call you ma. I remember one day you said, I'm not ma, I'm Pauline.
Yeah? Did you not want him to be your child, no?
Of course I do.
So why was you not allowed to call him ma?
They'd be like sheep, ma.
Because there's 6 of us calling her constantly
So how come we
ma.
didn't call her mammy, no?
Ma.
Whatever, it all depends what was happening.
It's
Ma,
always
mammy,
ma.
ma.
Was that the Dublin slang word for mammy? Yeah.
Ma.
It was a shortcut. Ma
6
is the
kids
mammy.
constantly. So welcome, Pauline.
Thank you.
I know you listen to the podcast.
I do.
I was actually looking at the amount of views we got for podcasts, and the one with Martin's Mammy has the most views, and loads of people have come back to me going, that's a really good podcast.
Yeah.
So part of that is the motivation is to get you on,
Thank you.
to balance it out. His mammy was on, I want to get my mammy on now.
So we're looking for a challenge here, is that what you're saying, Dean? Yeah.
Easy listening to him. And
Yeah.
it's lovely.
Very good.
Yeah, about our life and the kids and the family and yourself, our son and our husband, Lakes.
Lakes, my father, yeah, that's right.
Yeah, Daddy. Only a young man when he passed. Yeah.
But have you ever been up in St. Margaret's, no?
I was up there. I was up there with Dave once. He was dropping a bike off, and then the next time I was up, one of the lads had a car, and Dave said, "Go up and look," and I couldn't find a way in.
And were you up there in the 80s?
We just used to go over that way for the potatoes,
Over the buddies?
over the buddies for the bag of
Yeah.
potatoes. That's the only.
That's further down, so yeah.
That's the only contact I had over
Because
there.
I remember we done a sports day over there in the field. Do you remember
Yeah.
that sports
Yeah.
day? There was an argument with somebody over a dog, I think it was. And somebody says, I think one of the dogs from the travelling site was barking at the kids who were playing sports in the field. And
Was he a traveller dog or...
it was a traveller dog. And then one of the traveller...
How could you tell he was a
adults-
traveller dog, Dean?
Because he was associated with the traveller adults. And one of them said, we're really sorry about that. We're going to kill the dog.
Yeah.
And somebody said, don't kill him here, kill him over there. Do you
So
know
there was no
that,
one-
man?
So there was no one to defend the dog?
There's no
Poor
dog.
little
No
fella.
dog
No
breeds
dog.
back in
No
the 80s.
harm at all he was doing.
I don't think they want to kill the dog somehow because they probably just told you that...
No, but they were trying to say,
were-
look,
they
we're
were-
really sorry about the dog.
yeah,
Yeah.
excuse
Yeah.
us here, like. Huh?
All I remember is coming in with the story one day. You were over there. I don't know where you were on the site or what's it called, the site, campsite.
Yeah, campsite.
And they were said to Eric, "Hey, good looking one." We still talk about
Hey, good
that.
looking one.
Hey, good looking one. They said to Eric. And what else?
Eric's big brother, and so one of the travellers said to him, hey, good looking one.
He was delighted.
And we used to always say that back in our family. It was like
Yeah.
a little family joke.
It was
that we had.
lovely. Yeah, hey, good looking one. We still say it. I hear you. Stop.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah, it was the way she said it, and the accent, the traveller accent, is fabulous.
So you were actually reared in Ballymun, you are?
No, I'm from Eastwall.
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 And your parents, where was your parents from?
My mother was from the inner city, Dublin,
Right.
from Foley Street, a place called Foley Street in the buildings.
Yes.
My father was from Listowel in County Kerry.
All right, so you're half Kerry woman then.
Half culture, yeah.
Very good.
How did your ma and your dad hook up?
I don't know that.
Because it's kind of similar. Martin's ma had loads of stories that Martin didn't know the gaps.
Yeah,
in, you know what I mean?
I don't know that. I just know they were very young. They got married and
So we had one from Dublin and one from Kerry, and by the grace of God, they came together.
Did they meet in Dublin?
yeah.
Okay.
My father worked in Dublin.
What was he working at?
He was a carpenter,
So if I remember, he was a master craftsman.
master carpenter. Yeah.
And where was he studying? I'm going to just throw out
Bolton.
the information I had. Bolton Street.
Bolton Street.
What was your dad's name?
Paddy, Patrick, PJ, Patrick Joseph, Ryan.
A true Irish man, Paddy, huh?
And what's your mammy's name?
Annie Ryan.
That's my nanny, Nanny Ryan.
Yeah, her
Used to call
her
her.
maiden name was Ryan as well.
Oh, hers was as well.
Yeah,
So the
yeah.
children was Ryan.
Yeah.
This is steady. I'm getting loads of information here that I would have heard, but it would have passed me by. So she my godmother. Is that
She's your
correct?
godmother.
She's my godmother.
So you're
Yeah.
saying your mother was Ryan, her maiden name,
Yeah.
and your father was Ryan. That's some coincidence. And one from Dublin and one from
One from Kerry, yeah.
and one from Kerry. So there were literally strangers beforehand, obviously.
Strangers, yeah. My mother's people were from Tipperary.
So the Ryans must be a big name down that part of
In
the world.
Tipperary, yeah, I believe.
So did they come to live in Dublin when they got married? Is that it?
No, they met in Dublin. My mother's from Dublin.
But you're all your life in Dublin, yeah.
All my life, yeah. In Eastwall, from Eastwall. That's down near the docks.
And what brought you to Ballymun?
I got married and we were on the housing list. And we got an apartment. Well,
Were you still living in
flat.
Eastwall?
A flat
I was in Sheriff Street with Paul's people.
with your husband.
Yeah, with Paul's people.
His people, yeah.
You were where with me dad's people?
The in-laws.
The in-laws, yeah,
Where
in
were you
Sheriff
with them?
Street.
In Sheriff. So were you living
the
in
flats,
Sheriff?
Yeah.
Ah, okay. So slow it right down because there's a few things that are coming up. Who was from Foley Street?
My mammy's mother lived in Foley Street after
right.
she got 2 rooms from a 1 room in the buildings.
So your mammy was in the buildings. What's the buildings for people who don't know what the buildings is?
The buildings were like tenements, like a
Were
square.
they similar to the flats again?
No, the flats out here were very posh when I
Towards the
came out
tenements.
here towards the tenements. Flats, when I came out here first, I had 2 children, Natalie and Paul, and we moved in. We were given a 2-bedroom flat in the tower just over here, Thomas Clark Tower, and it was luxury, absolutely beautiful.
Was that when they were new? These built newly
Well,
built?
not really new. I came in 1972.
I know a few people, spoken
Yeah.
to a few people in the past, and I've often heard them mention about the tenements. And was the tenements just one building where everyone was just pushed into, like?
Do you know Gardner Street?
Yes.
You know the houses along Gardner Street? They're tenements. They were tenements.
Like
Right.
Mountjoy Square.
Mount J Square, they were all tenements until builders came
Knocked
in.
the whole thing down.
No, didn't knock. All Parnell Street is knocked down. They were
Right,
all
yes.
tenements. Like the tenements, I'll give you. My father's brother lived in the tenement in Parnell Summerhill, and they had a big hall door. We went in. There was the woman lived on the left. She had a whole. The rooms were huge. The windows were huge. They got smaller as they went up. And a big, fabulous, big staircase. But they were in bits again when I saw them when I was a kid.
Right.
So they were the ones that Peter McFerry was describing in Summerhill.
There was all tenements.
It was all tenements there.
All along Summerhill.
And the tenements
Big,
were
fabulous
old
houses.
Georgian
All Georgian. yeah.
buildings that were owned by old British landlords. And then when they moved out,
Corporation took them over.
Corporation took them out and they rented them out, and they would have had families in them, but they would have had them like 5 people in a room, 10 people in a room.
Well, one room, the biggest room as far as I remember, was when you went in the hall on the left. And that was the biggest room. That was sitting room, kitchen, unit, everything in that room. And then the toilet was either out the back, usually out the back, for the whole house. There wasn't an indoor toilet.
So you'd have a family in that room on the
in
left.
that room, yeah.
And then up on the
Wherever
next
in-
floor, you might have 2 rooms and you'll have a family in each one of them
I
rooms.
don't know. I never went upstairs. Never went upstairs. That's funny now, just thinking about that.
Where was that you didn't go upstairs?
Summerhill.
Summerhill. And who lived there?
My uncle, Tom.
So go back to the buildings for a second, because the buildings wasn't a tenement. It was a Dublin Corporation building.
The buildings was like, if you imagine one of the courts, and it's in the square.
So the court up in Poppentry in Ballymun.
In Ballymun. And it was a square, and then there was people living on the ground, and I think it was 3 stories, the buildings, but they had railings just on the outside, and it was like literally like a prison to me, like a prison block. And people would have a room with a few kids, usually a room. So my granny, Ryan, my mum's mummy, got upgraded to Foley Street.
So she had a
Which was
1 bed
bigger.
in the buildings, and then she got 2 bed in Foley
not
Street.
one bed, one room.
1 room. Right, it wasn't even a 1 bedroom, just
No,
1
it was
room.
one
Then
room.
she got 2 rooms in Foley Street.
She got 2 rooms in Foley Street.
So the one room was classed today as a bed set.
I don't know. Yeah,
Where you'd have a
it
kitchen,
wouldn't-
bathroom, and bedroom all in
no
one.
toilet or anything.
So do you know when you walk in the door of this big building, does everybody use that same door?
The tenements. That's the one door for everybody. Yeah.
So everyone uses the one door.
Everyone used to one
So
big door.
So it's literally it's like today's walking to a hotel and everyone has their own room kind of thing.
Yes.
And that's how it was for
Yeah,
families.
and the door was always left open.
Yeah.
The door was never closed.
But the building that she's talking about, called the Buildings,
Yeah.
was a separate thing. It wasn't a
In
tenement.
Railway Street.
It was in Railway Street. Like loads of people I know from town, their parents or their grandparents grew up in the place called the Buildings.
Yeah.
And that was this block. They weren't like tall Georgian buildings. It was just called The Buildings.
Just like
that was the name of it.
Concrete Square. That's it.
Yeah. As I said, I've talked to a few people in the past about them tenements and never knew much about them.
Yeah.
There's probably lots and lots of people that doesn't know a lot about them.
Yeah.
Well,
Well,
what I did hear of was that they knocked down a lot of them and that they pushed all the people up to Ballymun to build the flats for them, or at least moved them into the flats, whatever the story goes.
from the tenements, there was tenements in Sean McDermott Street, Summerhill, Gardner Street, a lot around Gardner Street.
So they were all over the place.
They're all over the place. So the difference today to a tenement in Parnell Square would be that the door is fancy and it's locked.
But do they still call them tenements today?
No way, no. Apartments.
Why did they call them tenements back then?
They're corporation.
Does it sound like they were just pushing everybody into them just to get them out of the way, more or less, just to deal with a bad situation, but not improving it?
I imagine they were lovely at one time, but there was just no maintenance on them.
Could it be a case where they were lovely because they had nowhere else to go?
They were for poor people. People
but
with no
before they
money
were-
wouldn't have the money to do places up.
Before they were run by the council, before they were for poor people, one family lived in the whole 5 stories.
Yeah,
You know what I mean?
yeah.
So back
and the
when
servants used to be downstairs.
Dublin and Ireland was under British rule,
Yeah.
you had say one family staying in the whole building, and as you were saying, the housemaids or the servants stayed down in the basements.
In the basement.
And then those buildings that had one family in it, because that family moved away, then they moved in many families.
Sectioned off, yeah.
Yeah.
People get a room.
So instead of having one family per building, they had one family per room.
So basically,
Yeah.
when one family was living in it, as Dean said here,
Yeah,
it was like they're living in the lap of luxury. But when
of course.
20 families are living in it,
It's
they're living in nothing but
it's
poverty.
a slum.
It had to be, wouldn't it?
So they started to fall down then after about 30 years of the slum. They were probably up for 100 years before that, but they were only meant to be used for one family. But then there was one family per room, and after a couple of years they started to deteriorate because they weren't being looked after, and they started to fall down, and people started to die in them. And there was a big panic in Dublin going, what are we going to do here? And they had different house building projects all across Dublin, like Cabra, Eastwall, Fairview, blah, blah, blah. And the biggest one they done was the one that we're in here in Ballymun.
Yes.
That was in the 60s. Eastwall and Donnycarney and all would have been the 30s.
Wasn't it solving a problem for the city councils for when they decided to knock down tenements? And as I said, I've heard the story a few times that they pushed lots and lots of these people out to the flats in Ballymun.
Yeah, but that was the purpose
So
of Ballymun.
it was a way of solving their problems, wasn't it?
That was the purpose of Ballymun. Was to
Ballymun was
solve that.
beautiful.
No, I know that. I understand
Absolutely
that.
gorgeous.
But it wasn't a plan. It wasn't planned to be beautiful, was it?
Well,
when they built these flats,
it wasn't maintained.
it was a way like a 14 and what was the highest flats? 14 stories.
14 stories.
14-story flats.
Yeah, but back then...
It was a way of solving a family crisis that they pushed out of the tenements.
Yeah, but back
Because
then...
they were knocking on the tenements to recreate new buildings down around there in these places, like new homes or factories or whatever, apartments, whatever at the time they were building.
Yeah, but back then, that was like space age. Ballymun was like space age. It was like this new, brand new
Obviously, It
village.
looked beautiful to the people that moved out then, of course.
Like there was carpet, there was concierges, there was heating, there was constant hot water. You know what I mean? Nowhere else in the country had that.
at that stage, you know.
Nowhere else at all. People had views that you could look from Ballymun up to the mountains. Nobody else had that. So when people came out to visit them and they saying hot water and there's constant heating in the place.
But Dean, later in the years, then look
Absolutely.
At
within about 10 years, it turned in.
Look at the poverty that it actually created years later.
Yeah. So I don't know when they wrote the plan for Ballymun that they actually could think forward and go, this is going to be a ghetto in 10 or 15 years.
Yeah.
You know, I don't think that they had that in their minds.
I saw the deterioration in Ballymun about 2 years after I moved in. Corporation maintenance man stopped cleaning the stairs. They used to wash the stairs at least once a week, disinfect the stairs. That stopped.
When did you move in?
I moved in September 1972.
49 years ago.
And actually 50 years ago,
What floor
in
were
a
you
couple
on?
of days. We were on the 10th.
Oh.
beautiful. It was
Was it?
absolutely, yeah. It was. My brother was home from South Africa at the time, and he brought us all out. I don't know how many there was in the car, all bundled in, and he brought us out to when we got the flat in Thomas Clark. And my mammy lives in Eastwall, and she wanted to move out beside me. It was that beautiful. She said, "How can I get one of these places?" And she had her own place, and it was absolutely gorgeous.
She had her own house in
Eastwall.
What age were you when you moved out?
21.
And you had 2 kids.
Yeah.
So just take a little step back. So your mammy's mammy moved from the buildings to Foley Street.
And then to Ballybock.
And then to Ballybock.
Polka Road.
And then your mammy, she met your dad. He's from Kerry.
Listowel, yeah.
And her family's from Tipperary.
Originally, yeah.
They met in Dublin. And how did they get to Eastwall then?
They got a room in Fitzwilliam Square, in the tenements as well.
Fitzwilliam Square, like the posh Fitzwilliam Square?
Fitzwilliam Square,
where
yeah.
all the bleeding departments of this and that and all that over there?
Yeah, Fitzwilliam Square.
Wow.
She got a room off the corporation.
So they were corpo tenements as well?
I don't know. And they got a house in Eastwall after that. They had 2 children.
Who was the children they had?
Eddie and Pat.
And Eddie was the brother that went to South Africa?
Eddie went to South Africa.
When did he go to South Africa?
1956.
And so he went to South Africa for work?
He trained in Bolden Street as a carpenter.
Oh, very good.
And
Same as your daddy?
Yeah, and then he went to work. He went over on a contract, and then he went into the gold mines.
So in 1950 odd, what age were you?
56. I was 5.
Your eldest brother is going to a place called South Africa?
Yeah.
Fucking hell. What was that like?
I remember him coming up the lane. My friend, I was down the lane playing with my friends in Eastwall, and I saw him coming up the lane, the fat lane as we called it, and I looked at him, and obviously I was only about 4 or 5 because he was gone in 56, and I said, "That's my brother." I remember saying, "That's my brother, that's my brother." So I was aware of him then.
Yeah.
But him going away there wasn't much. I know my mom's heart was broken.
Yeah.
Because he went to South Africa.
Oh yeah, yeah.
Did anyone go with him or just himself?
Just on his own. He went from Southampton.
Yeah.
Mm.
So he had applied for the work from here.
Yes.
In South Africa.
Yes.
It was a big connection at the same time, wasn't it? And also a big move, like back then even.
Huge.
Big move now, never mind.
Yeah, he's only 21.
Oh, is that right? Yeah.
Yeah, only 21.
And did he spend much of his time over there then?
The rest of his life.
All right. He never came home, did he?
He did. He came home when he was the brother that brought me out to Ballymun when we got the flat in Ballymun.
All right.
Eddie.
Oh,
And he came home twice. I saw him twice after that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Throughout your life?
Yeah.
I just seen the emotion from your mammy in your eyes there, and you were tearing up there.
My mummy missed him. Any more water?
Yeah, I'll get you water now.
Yes, thanks, Stan. Yeah, my mummy missed him terrible. So when we got the phone, they used to ring regularly.
And he was the oldest?
Eddie was the eldest, yeah. And then Pat went to manager. In those years, in the 50s, a lot of people on Air Road went. A lot of my brother's friends went.
To South Africa?
To England, usually Manchester or Liverpool, or an odd one to Canada in the 50s.
That was from Dublin here?
From where I lived, yeah.
All right. But when you said your brother went from England, Southampton, was it?
He travelled on the... Yeah.
He was living here, but he travelled to England to get to South Africa after that, yeah.
Southampton.
How did he get from Southampton to South Africa? Was it
Probably
boat?
It has to be. There was no planes.
Yeah.
And if there was planes, they were very expensive. Because he went with my aunt. My aunt was going to Canada. She lived in Crumlin. Nellie went to Canada with her kids. Her husband got a contract with Boards Custard in Canada. Then that's my mummy's sister, Nellie. Then her sister followed her out, and a few of them followed them out. My mummy didn't. A few of them stayed, a few of them went.
And do you remember back in then, which is the mid-50s, was there much emigration? Do you have any memory of that? I know you're only young.
Always. Everyone was going somewhere. Or if they weren't going, they were coming home for a holiday. If a taxi came up a road, everybody would be looking out the window.
Waiting for someone to come home
for a holiday.
All right.
Yeah, and my mad say, oh, who's getting out of that now? Who's getting out? And if it wasn't for us, she would be interested, but not as interested, obviously,
But was
if
she
it wasn't
hoping
for
it
us.
was?
Hoping it was for us. And we were in a 2-bedroom house, and no matter who came home, I don't know where they slept, but everyone stayed. There was no such thing as staying in a hotel or staying in a bit. That was never mentioned. That was...
It was always a welcome there,
It
wasn't
was
it?
always a welcome. Sleep anywhere, everywhere.
Typical Ireland. Very good.
Yeah, anybody that came home.
Your brother, what became of your brother then?
Eddie passed away in 1989 in an accident down the mine in South Africa.
In 1989?
Yeah.
And how old would he have been then?
Mid-50s.
All right. He was young, very young. Was your mother still alive
Yes.
at the time? And how many times has she seen him before for the
Twice.
night that he was
Same
gone?
as me. Twice.
Serious?
Serious.
And what kind of contact did she have with him?
Phone.
Phones?
And letters. His
I was going to say
his
letters.
wife, Edwina, used to write. And my mum would get the postcard or the letter from Edwina, from Eddie.
Was Edwina an African girl or was
No, she's an African girl, she's a white African girl. And my mum would read a letter, and it was always Edwina's writing, and my mum would just go...
She cast it aside.
She cast it aside because she wanted Eddie to write to her.
Serious?
And if Eddie did write to her, it'd be precious.
But did she not take into consideration that it might be his words that she's putting on this
Yeah,
note?
of course it is, but my mummy missed him that much that it was...
She wanted to see his writing.
Serious? So although she might have known his words,
Yeah,
her writing,
she wanted to see his writing.
and that was as close as she could get to him basically at the time.
So I'd say that thing was common enough where people wanted connection to their sons and daughters.
Any kind of connection. That was before the phone. That connection to writing, his writing,
Try
Eddie's
your
writing.
tears if you want.
Yeah.
It's good to see you crying.
Sorry for bringing this out in you now, honestly, but
I think it's good. I
Huh?
think like it's helping you.
maybe it's probably something you might need to
Of
talk
course
about.
it is. That's why I was resisting it,
Yeah.
Martin. I didn't want to come here.
Oh, these
You were telling me you were tired and all. You were trying to not come.
Well, you said, are you ready? Are you ready later on? And I said, yeah, grand. And, oh, no.
But you weren't ready.
So we're never ready, Martin, though.
No,
I'd be never ready for anything. I just had to do something. You know, my mind would stop me. I can't allow it.
Yeah. I suppose it's the human side of people that
Yeah,
sometimes we sort of let things get in the way.
we do. I do.
Stopping us
Yeah,
from
I
doing
can,
sort of
but
what we
I don't.
should
I
be
have to keep fighting in this life, moving forward all the time.
Very
You
good.
know.
So tell me, how long did you spend at Ballymun then when you moved into the flats?
Okay, so 1972, and then we moved up to a bigger flat, a 3-bedroom flat in the same tower. I didn't like that. Something happened then. There was some kind of switch. Oh, I didn't like that.
Was it
So-
a higher?
It wasn't a higher up. It was just the feeling of the place.
Serious?
Yeah, the feeling. I loved the
So
2-bedroom.
you felt different about the
I
flats
felt
then?
different about everything. My whole life.
Yeah.
Something strange happened. But anyway, the girl that moved out the 3-bedroom came back to the flat. She came back and asked me. She moved to Finglas, and she asked me, did I want to transfer to Finglas, to a house in Finglas? And I said, okay, anything would be better than the feeling I had where I was.
In that flat?
In the flat, in the 3-bedroom.
So was it something about the flat itself then?
Must have been.
Just a vibe.
Just the vibe in the flat, I didn't like it.
But you were happy in the one below
I was
that?
happy in the 2-bedroom downstairs.
Serious?
Yeah. And my neighbours, I know the neighbours are all the neighbours. This was just a strange
Well, did anything
feeling.
ever happen in the flat that you heard a story
don't know.
about? Or
I
how
don't-
old would the flats be now at this stage when you...
They would have been about probably 15 years old, maybe, or 10.
Still fresh, basically.
Yeah, because the tower was one of the last ones to be built. The blocks and the 8 stories were one of the first
So you transferred with her to Finglas.
to Kipure Park.
What was the community like on the flats? It's like you're living
Amazing.
in the sky, but obviously there had to be community there.
Amazing. I mean, where I live at the moment, I don't know many people. But in Ballymun, I knew everybody. I
Was
think
it friendly like it was?
very friendly. We were all in the same boat. We were all young and in their 20s, early 20s, the little kids. And there was they opened up a little creche. Little Paul wasn't old enough to go to the creche, but Natalie was.
That's your son and daughter, my brother and sister.
Yeah, Natalie was old enough. She was 2.5.
Was that on the ground floor of them flats?
On the ground floor. When you went into the flats on Thomas Clark Tower on the right, the women had a little creche for the kids.
Yeah.
So I used to go down once a week.
Was it like, although it was a creche, was it like sort of partly a little preschool as well, like?
Yeah, similar. I don't think there was much play. It was a little play area for the kids. And the mammies, they'd be there and they'd play with each other and get to know each other because there was nothing outside. Except there was lots of greenery, but there were no playgrounds or anything. That was the little play the kids got.
Was a lot of concrete and tar, is that right?
Not really. No.
In the flats?
In the flats it was all concrete. But outside there was a lot of greenery. More greenery than there is now. Yeah. The whole place was one big...
Was it safe to let the kids out and play on?
Oh, no. Not my kids.
No?
No, they were too young. No, bigger kids maybe. Yeah. But there wasn't many bigger kids.
No? Because it was all young families.
It was all very young families. All women my age. All young, very
it was all girls, 18, 19, 20, mid-20s, maybe one or two small kids.
And if there was any older people, they'd be with their, like if I took my mammy in.
So your ma came out here and she said, I'm at been in Eastwall all my life, but look at these.
Oh, she didn't say that.
Did she not? You said she wanted to move in.
I didn't say she said.
I know, but you know what I mean.
Yeah. She didn't say I'm in Eastwall all my life.
She's
starting to loosen up now. She was fucking crying and all nervous 10 minutes ago.
Yeah, but she's just being honest, like. She's only telling what was said and what wasn't said, like.
So, right. You were in Eastwall with your ma, and then I'm going to jump forwards to where you met me da. How did you meet me da? Me da's name is Bonky. He's from Sheriff Street. How did you meet him?
Paul. His name is Paul. Paul Scurry.
Paul and Pauline.
I met him. I was just came back from the Isle of Man with my friends.
Oh, there's a whole story. Let's go back further then. Where did you go to school?
William Street.
William Street. What was that? School for what? Girls.
For the bewildered.
School for people lunatics.
Was it?
North William Street, Dublin 1.
Yeah.
Inner city. Yeah.
And beside where that church is, St. Agatha's Church.
That's it. St. Agatha's. That's where I made my communion confirmation.
Spot, isn't it?
Oh, is it?
Yeah, that's I made my communion confirmation.
The little canal runs on the other side of it.
That's it.
Very nice.
That's the Royal Canal.
We used to go down there doing the novenas monthly once in a month.
Yeah, lovely church.
Beautiful, absolutely.
So that's where I went to school.
So you went to school there and you made your communion in Agatha's. And was that primary school? Where did you go to secondary school?
I didn't go to secondary school, no.
Where was the secondary school?
I couldn't tell you.
All right, deadly. So what age did you leave school at?
14.
14. And did you go into work then?
I went away. I went to Wales.
How did you end up going to Wales? Why
My
was Wales?
sister lives there.
So your sister, what's her name?
Anna lives in Wales. So I went over to get a job.
At 14 years of age?
Yeah. That was old.
That was old by then. You should have been married. You were nearly up on the bleeding shelf and all then, were you?
And your mother had no problem letting you go over at 14 years of age doing that?
Couldn't stop me, man.
No?
Nobody could stop me. No, that's what I wanted to do.
Serious? At 14 years of age? All right.
What age was Anna when she went?
Anna was about 16, I think.
So you had Eddie, South Africa. Pat
he was gone.
Went to Manchester.
He was gone.
And then Anna is the next one in line?
Anna was gone. There was nobody. There was me and Mick and Yvonne. 3 of us left in the house when I left school.
Well, this is a tricky question.
Yeah.
What would you do if your daughter was going to England at 14 years of age today?
I'd go with her.
I think you let her. I think you fucked her out of the house, did you?
So you let her go, but you go with her.
Good night, man. I'll be gone.
Very good.
So you went to Wales. What were you doing in Wales? Where in Wales and what were you doing?
I was in Llandudno in Wales, working in a hotel, doing the bedrooms or the waiting on. Money was great. We used to spend most of our money on clothes and the rest of it on drink.
Well, clothes, as women do.
So what age were you? You were working and you were 14. You were drinking at 14?
Yeah. Drinking with me friends, flagons of cider.
Did you not see, earlier on you did you not see the worry that was on your mother for her son gone at 21? Did you not think that she should have a lot of worry for you at 14?
Yeah, right, I didn't think.
You didn't think?
I didn't give a rat's.
Obviously you didn't think.
You were over in Wales, in North Wales and
Llandudno. So you were adding more pain to her.
I don't know what I was adding.
Well, now you know it.
You were saying
You're
that.
adding more pain to her already existing
She's in
pain.
heaven now with God, so she's in no pain, man.
God rest her. God be her happy in heaven.
And you're all relaxed now. It's only
When
had
she
to
was
taken
young,
you
when she was young.
47
That's
minutes.
him, looking at his good-looking
when
face.
she was young, obviously it was painful.
I don't know.
When her son went to 21, you said she missed him very
Forever.
badly, terribly.
Until he passed away, and then she nearly lost her mind then.
Yeah. So that's what I was referring to at 14 then. When you went over, obviously she had to be worrying the other side again.
Well, I went to my sister, so I don't think she was that worried.
So it left a little bit comfortable, did it?
Probably.
And it was Wales,
I
which
didn't
was
ask.
a boat ride away, not
I
leaving South
didn't
Africa,
ask. You
which
probably
was
didn't ask.
on the other side of the
On the
world.
other side, I could get back in a few hours.
So you're in Wales with your sister at 14 and you were drinking flagons of cider. What was the
No,
whole
I
thing?
wasn't drinking flagons of cider in Wales. I was drinking them here.
Before you went?
Yeah. That's what we
Oh,
did.
my God.
That's what you
We used
did.
to go up on the railway and drink wherever somebody go in for a flagon. And we'd all get a sup over and letting on we were drunk. It
So you weren't really drinking, and you were just
was the start. It was the trigger.
yeah. At 14 years of age.
Yeah, I didn't like the taste, but I liked the effect.
And
I like that one.
was this taking place in England when you went over to work?
No, I started drinking posh then in pubs.
Over there.
Mm.
Oh yeah, you start drinking respectable basically to yourself, like you just said.
I don't know about it, respectable.
No,
It was posh. You had to pay for
It
it.
was posh. It wasn't in the field.
no.
And what were you doing in Wales? Where were you working?
In a hotel.
What bleeding hotel?
The Belvedere Hotel and then the Merrion Hotel. No, the Merrion first and then the Belvedere down the road.
And was what I remember of North Wales, Llandudno, it was busy, it was buzzing, there was tourists there.
Yeah.
It's not like that now.
When I was working in the hotel, people used to come down to Wales, up and down from north and south of England for 2 weeks.
So they'd have their 2 weeks holidays.
They'd have the 2 weeks holiday and that was the norm. So we'd be kept busy the whole season.
And Llandudno in Wales was like a destination.
Yeah, it's a little Victorian town that's very unspoiled.
And that's where you were working, was it?
Yeah, in the hotel.
So it was busy, loads of
There
English
was plenty
tourists.
of work.
They had a Butlins there as well, or something. Did
In
they?
Butlins, no, that's in the West Wales, I think it is, in Pwllheli.
What was the attraction there?
The sea, the beach,
There was a big pier there as
hotel,
well.
the big, lovely, this big pier and entertainment along the pier. Yeah,
Sure, there's lots of great places all around Wales anyway, isn't there?
yeah.
It is a big
And then-
tourist population,
yeah.
isn't it?
And then there was coach tours around the mountains over there, which are beautiful.
Snowdonia.
National Park.
So how long were you over there for? Until what age?
I was over there just for the season, then I come home. And then the next year I went back over. And then I was over there for a little while and then I went to the Isle of Man. A few of us, my cousins, went to the Isle of Man,
And what were you doing the other man working?
working as well.
In the
Yeah.
same hotel kind of vibe?
We were working for this woman hotel. One of the girls worked there, one of my cousins worked there the year before. And she rang up this woman that owned this hotel and asked her, how can you work for us? And this woman said yes. So we all went over on the boat to Douglas in the Isle of Man.
I've never been to the other man. I've never
What do you
been.
want me to say?
It's a good crack. I've never. The other man is like only like 50 bleeding miles away. I've never been in my
Never
life.
been there, no.
Never.
And your mum
I get
did all
the-
And
this.
you
I
worked
get
there
the
and all.
violin.
And your mum did all this at 14.
Did you hear her there? I got a bleeding violin. But yeah, by the time she was 14, she had half the bleeding world travel.
But
And bleeding, drinking cider and all.
yeah, the attraction in the Isle of Man was the TT races in June and the motorbike men, fellas. Oh my God.
Oh, hold on,
the
go back there.
fellas,
She had to turn her eyes up and she had to bleed.
Fellas, huh?
Fall in love with somebody on a bleeding broom.
No, I didn't fall in love with anybody. It was the bike. The bikes. I love the
She's
bikes.
licking her lips and all that. What do you mean it was the bike?
Just getting to go on the bike.
Like,
Yeah.
you got going them?
Yeah. I'm not around the circuit of the TT.
Now,
There.
how come, right? What age are you now?
71.
How come I'm only hearing about this bleeding now? My ma
Well,
at
you never
14 or
asked.
15 was
'Cause
off on bleeding race car or race
I wasn't
bikes.
14 then. That was about 17.
All right, okay.
The years went. I wasn't stuck in a time warp. The years went. Didn't all happen in 1 week.
How long did you do that for? 1 season, 2
Just
seasons?
one season.
Yeah.
And then I left the Isle of Man. Then I met your dad.
Ah, how did you meet me dad?
I met him. My friend Anne Croker. She knocked on me. I was home. I was always away and home and away and home. And she knocked on, and as far as I remember, she was passing the door, and my ma said, "There's Ann Croker." So I knocked on the window, and I said, "Come on in, Ann." So we talking, and she said, "I'm going out. Do you want to go out tonight?" And I said, "Okay." So we went out to a pub on the corner of Amiens Street, and I've often showed you the window. Did I show you the window where me and your dad met? Amiens Street and
Store Street there, is
and
it?
Store Street. In
Very
that
good.
pub there.
Not the North Star, but the corner up from it.
Yeah, well, the North Star isn't on Store Street.
No, but the North Star is on
Amiens Street.
on Amiens Street. If you come up one further, closer to Bazaars.
That's right,
Yeah,
facing
yeah,
the Bazaars. So that's where I met him.
Where the coroners
We're on, beside the coroners, yeah.
Right, yeah.
I nearly got a job there, but...
In the coroners?
No.
Fuck off. So, you met me down, there was a boozer there on that corner.
Yeah, upstairs. There was a cabaret. There was lots of cabarets at the time in the 60s. This was late 60s. This was 69.
What age were you?
18. And I was just gone 18. This was July and I was 18 in July. Myself and Anne went out and we went up there and singing and, well, I wasn't singing. And Anne put my name up to sing. And she said, "Your name is up. My name is called out to sing." And I can't sing.
And this wasn't karaoke singing, this was jumping up on a microphone.
This is a microphone,
With
yeah.
a bleeding band or something, was it?
Yeah, a couple of fellas there, I can't remember. Yeah, it was a backing, some kind of backing she had. She said, "Your name is called." I was sitting beside these two English fellas we met, me and Anne, going to get on with them. So, and then your dad came in with his friend, Domo, and sat down beside us and said, "Your name is up." And then my name is called. I said, "I can't sing, Anne. I couldn't sing Save My Life. Maybe I can, but...
You can, you've heard you singing.
Yeah, maybe I can, but she was a singer. So she got up and sang, "Those were the days, my friends, we thought they'd never end. We'd sing and dance forever and a day. We lived the lives we choose, we fight and never lose. Those were the days, oh yes, those were the days." With Mary Hopkins, she was Welsh.
Oh my God.
Yeah.
You can bleed and sing, you have a great
That
voice.
rhymes well with your story.
Sorry?
That song rhymes well with your story.
Yeah, doesn't it? Yeah, exactly. Yeah, it's amazing. Yeah. So Paul came up and we were going to the Club of Go-Go. The Go-Go we used to call it. Up in Abbey Street, downstairs. And Anne didn't drink. Right? I was drinking. And Paul was drinking. So they wouldn't let us in. We went down the stairs and they wouldn't let us in. I think Tommy Ryan was the name of the fellow that owned the place.
Because you had drink on you?
Yeah. So then we got the taxi home and Anne paid. I had no money. Paul had no money. Anne paid for the taxi. I still owe you for that taxi, Anne, if you're listening.
Was she working? She had a few quid, did she?
Anne had a job. Anne always had a job, yeah. I wasn't working. I was just have to
And
come home.
Bongi was broke and you were broke.
Broke as a joke, yeah. So that was it.
That wasn't bleeding, Nick, because you're bleeding 70 odd years of age and you're still with him and you're bleeding madly in love with him and you've got 6 kids and I'm one of them.
Go on, Nadine.
So let's fill in the bleeding gaps.
That's the gaps. No gaps. They're all filled in.
It's all gone.
Yeah.
18 years of age, you met the fella, you got a taxi home with him.
Yeah.
And then what happened?
And I'd paved the taxi.
Right.
Told you. And we were sitting outside July, sitting outside my ma's gate. And my ma came out to get Rusty, the dog. And she was calling, "Rusty, Rusty." Rusty like came over to me. And I said, "Who's that? Is that you, Pauline Ryan?" I said, "Yeah, ma." "Who's that fella with you?" So I told her who it was. "Oh no," she said, "one of the terrible twins."
Oh, my dad, because my dad's a twin. His name is Paul Scurry and his twin is
my
Paddy Scurry. Your man knew them.
knew them.
She knew them, didn't she?
She knew
Because they
them.
were fucking terrible twins from Sheridan Street.
Not one of them terrible twins. I said, "You're one of the terrible twins." She said, "Yeah." Yeah.
What age was he now? How old?
22.
Oh, right, okay. You're 18. He's 22. He's a bleeding lad about town. He has a twin, and they're bleeding. They have a reputation.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, they're from Sheriff Street, so everyone had a reputation. That was the reputation, being from Sheriff Street. Fabulous place at the time. Probably still is now, I don't know.
How did they get the name the Terrible Twins?
They wouldn't go to school. And there were two, the youngest out of a whole gang of kids. They changed schools. And I said he went to school in the Sheriff Street School, Lawrence's. And then they went to school in Gardner Street. And he still left school at 12. I said, how come you went from Lawrence's? Oh, we were bad. They were bad out of school, only little fellas. So he had to go to Gardner Street School.
So any school you could get into, it was good for them.
Yeah, Gardner Street was a good bit of a walk. Lawrence's were right across the road, but they're only little kids. So somebody had to take them home, and they'd be holding on.
Lawrence O'Toole School, is it?
Yeah, they'd be holding on to the railings. They didn't want to go into school. I wouldn't blame them. They were bleeding nuts. They were not the kids. Some of the Christian brothers.
It was a Christian Brothers school, yeah.
Yeah, 2 Christian brothers. I don't know about Gardner Street. I know Lawrence's was Christian brothers.
So that was 22 then.
Yeah.
And was his brother Paddy around?
His brother Paddy was in Liverpool. Paul was just left Liverpool. He came home.
Okay.
And that was the first day he was home as well from Liverpool in that pub that night.
So he was off in Liverpool looking for work, I'd imagine.
They always had work. They didn't have to look very far for work.
Yeah.
They'd go over to work. Always went over to work. They wouldn't. I don't know anybody that went over looking for work.
Right, yeah. There was a job on.
There was a job somewhere. Start in the morning, 8 o'clock. Reach on the corner. That's that kind of carry on.
And so that was his first night back, and you were just back from Bleeding the Isle of Man.
Yeah.
And the two of you met each other, and
Yeah.
then you were sitting outside the Ma's house on Ravensdale Road in Eastwall, and she said, is that one of them bleeding terrible twins?
No, she didn't say that.
What'd she say?
Didn't course my mammy.
Oh, did she not?
No.
Where did you get your bleeding tongue from then?
I don't know.
Growing up, living in Ballymun for bleeding 15 years.
I don't know. I do get nervous. Of course, I get nervous sometimes. She said, is that one of the terrible twins? What's his name? I told her, that one of the terrible twins. Are you one of the terrible twins? Yeah. All right. That was it. So I was to meet him the next day on the Saturday. This was Friday night. I was to meet him on the Saturday at, he said, I'd meet you at Jennings, which is the funeral parlour.
Yeah,
Funeral parlour.
classy.
Oh, class.
On the
You
corner
better
of
believe-
Seville Place.
On the corner of Seville Place. He fell out of bed to meet me.
You could have made you at the Five Lamps, which is just across the road, but you said, I'll meet you at the funeral parlour.
Could have met me in the Gresham. You know? No, the funeral parlour. Where they sold the flowers. So I didn't turn up.
What didn't you turn up? Because you weren't ours?
I wouldn't blame you. Funeral parlour.
So he knocked on the door.
Of your Ma's?
Oh, my man. And my brother, I was in bed. My brother said, Eric, it fell down the door. And I said, oh, holy God, tell him to come over the road. Wait for me. I sent him over the road to wait for me. And we walked up through Fairview to Clontarf, and he had an orange.
He's went on a walk.
He had an orange, that's all he had.
So you decided I'm going to go on a
hadn't-
walk with him, and he went on a walk,
Yeah.
and he spoiled you. He had an orange in
I
his
just
pocket.
spoiled me.
At 22 years of age, the only thing he had for me, Ma, was a bleeding orange.
If that's all he had, it meant he was giving you everything.
He had no washer.
Oh, sure, okay, so.
So you went out. How did that happen back there then? Like, I was talking to Martin about his mammy and daddy, and theirs was, they didn't go out, there was no dating, it was arranged, they were just, you're marrying him, that's it.
Wow.
It wasn't like, was it like that for you, or was
No.
there dating?
Sounds like it sounds like she was boss all the way.
No, wasn't like that. No, we went out when he had money. We'd go to pictures, or we get a land of a pound on me ma, and we get 10 smokes, a couple of drinks, and go to the pictures.
Out of a
And
bleeding
popcorn.
pound?
Out of a pound. Get a land of a pound on me ma. We get all that. Go into go over to the Fairview Picture House. I think it was 2 and 7 each. The pictures.
What's 2 and 7 for people who haven't got a clue? I know you all my life, and I still don't know what 2 and bleeding 7 is.
2 shillings is a 10p.
Right.
And 7 would be about 3p. So 2 and 10.
So
11,
20
12.
shillings is a pound.
20 shillings is a pound. So you get a lot out of a pound. You get 10 smokes was 1 and 10s.
So how long off did you get married then?
I got married. We got married the next year.
He was 21, is that right?
No, he was 23 the next year when we got
23
married.
when you met him first.
You only met him, hold on, you're only with me dad a year, and you got married?
No, not a year.
Not even a year?
No, not even a year.
You should have made him feel good and tell him you knew him 3 years.
We were together 11 months, and we were married. My mammy marched me around to the priest.
And may I ask why she marched you around to the priest?
Because I was pregnant.
And you were with him 11 months, and you were pregnant.
5 months.
5 months pregnant. You were pregnant 2 months before you met him.
That's right. How did you know?
So you were with him. You were 18 years of age.
Yeah.
Within 2 or 3 months,
we were kissing.
You were kissing and holding hands.
Holding hands. That's all we were holding. Kissing and cuddling.
And then you were pregnant. What did you call it back then? You fell pregnant, or what did it? I don't know what they.
She's expecting.
She's expecting. That woman's expecting there. That young girl.
Expecting. And people used
Annie Ryan's daughter's expecting.
People used to hide in those days. I didn't hide.
Like young girls who were pregnant, they were hidden by their families, or they'd hide themselves.
The girl I know, her first baby was adopted. That was had to be.
That was what was decided.
That was decided for.
Yeah. By the community, the priest, the parents.
No, the parents usually, or the priest. Yeah, parents. So that didn't happen to me. I wasn't having that.
So you grew up in the middle of all of that, in town.
Yeah.
Sean McDermott Street, Summerhill, Eastwall, Sheriff Street, Magdalen Laundries, industrial schools, all that type of stuff.
Yeah.
That part of the city is known for. You were like 18 years of age. You met the love of your life, Bonky Scurry, one of the terrible twins, fell pregnant, and then you were told by your mammy.
That's a funny saying, fell pregnant. What does that mean?
Yeah, I don't know. It's
That's
like it was a fucking accident or something like that. You fell pregnant. You fell ill. You had to fall pregnant.
That's a funny one. That's a queer one. You fell pregnant.
So when you left the flats, you went over to Finglas, is that right?
I went to Finglas, Capure Park.
And did you spend, say, many years in Finglas?
No, a couple of years. I didn't like that. There was no shopping centre. I used to have to put the kids on the pram, one baby in the pram, one baby sitting on top of the pram, and one baby beside me, walking over to the village in Finglas, and it was a nightmare. The distance. We used to, from Finglas South to walking, no cars.
So there was no shops around you then?
No shops around. There was a shop van. The nearest shopping place was, there was no shopping centre. There's a new shopping centre now around there. Clearwater.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was built years and years after. I mean, nobody in Finglas had anything.
So where was the shop that you went to?
That was it, the village.
It was so you went from this what's called the south. Were you in the south?
Yeah, Finglas
Capure's
South.
in the south of the south.
Yeah.
On the border of Cabra.
Yeah,
and you used to walk probably 2 mile
or more, to
the village with a couple of kids on a buggy to get a bit of shopping. So you didn't like playing in Capure?
I didn't like that.
You didn't like Finglas. How long were you there for then?
A couple of years maybe.
Was I there? Was I born here?
No, you were born in Thomas Clark.
And then did I move there?
Eric was born in Finglas.
Ah, okay.
So I had Natalie, Paul, Dean and Eric.
So I was born in the tower in Ballymun, and then we moved to Finglas.
I moved back to Poppintree.
Back to a house?
To a house in Poppintree, yeah. I like that. I like the neighbours. The neighbours are nice in Finglas, but I missed the community in Ballymun. It was amazing. Right. And a lot of people that I knew moved there. A lot of people moved to Blanche from the flats in the 70s. And I moved back to because I knew a girl that wanted to move to Finglas, and I moved back to Poppintree.
Treed Road Court.
Which
is where I would have remembered most of my childhood up until the age of about 14, 15.
Yeah.
So I'd say most of my brothers and sisters' childhood was in Ballymun in Treed Road Court.
Yeah.
We went to school in St. Joseph's School, and it was like a community and a parish.
So was the community, was it lively or was it depressing?
Very lively, beautiful.
Very lively,
very nice community.
Was there much people have jobs at this time?
Yes, everyone worked.
Everyone worked
that we lived with. Well, let me go through them 1, 2, 3. Yes, everyone worked.
Very good.
Yeah.
And what kind of jobs was there back then?
Well, there was the corporation.
When you say everyone worked, was it men or women?
The men usually. Men. Very, very few women worked. If they had some women that had maybe 1 or 2 children work, but anyone more, we had 6.
Impossible
And
to work.
my work was with the kids. You know, and then when Alex, the little fella, went to school, I got a job cleaning the Shaws in the shopping centre in the evening time.
In Ballymun.
In Ballymun.
So how long, I know that the shopping centre goes back a long way.
Yeah.
So when was that? When was that shopping centre built around the same time as the flats?
No.
It was later years,
The
was it?
people, before I lived in Ballymun, used to go down to that shop down at the library. What's that called? That was the only shop that was there.
But there was no
down
shopping
where
centre.
the slipper is.
The Slipper, that was the
Wow,
only
that's a
shop
good
people
bit.
we used to walk down.
So it sort of built up a community then, obviously.
That was, and the shopping centre was great. The shops were full. There was shoe shops for the kids.
It sort of livened up the place as well.
It
in the
livened
end.
up the place, yeah.
They
Yeah,
had
well-
everything in it. They had butchers.
Everything.
They had post office, snooker
Yeah.
hall, Quinsworth, and that was the heart. That was what I remember. That was the heart. We had a great community vibe up in the court that we lived up in.
Yes,
Up in
yeah.
Druid Court, and the shopping centre was like the heart of the community where you went and met all the other people who lived
Everybody
in
met up with
Ballymun.
each other, yeah. And in the crazy day, times were probably harder back then. But yet they had a shopping centre, and today, modern times, no shopping centre in Ballymun. The shops like all around.
Santry will be in here, shopping centre, wouldn't it?
Santry, but Ballymun here itself,
Yeah, there's nothing.
where there was always this
Well,
big,
it went back.
where there was always this big complex.
It went back 50 years.
Yeah.
Like, it went back in time to having shopping,
Instead
having
of
none,
instead of
having one.
moving
Then
forward, they went backwards.
we went backwards, exactly.
And no different today, basically. They haven't done anything about it, like. Because as Dean said there, sometimes the shopping centre is the heart of the community, like, isn't it?
Well, that's why I used to love going down the shops with the kids.
So I remember walking into Donamead shopping centre about 2 or 3 years ago and looking at it and going, this feels like the way Ballymun used to be when I was a kid.
Yeah.
People just walking around, getting keys cut, getting their shoes fixed,
Yeah.
getting a couple of vegetables, talking to the butcher, going up and sitting up in the cafe and da-da-da-da-da.
Busy, lovely.
And something that looks so normal. But I was looking at the shopping centre of Donamead going, this isn't much, but it's fucking amazing.
Yeah.
It's
Our
community.
shopping centre was amazing. Every shop was busy. And every week, myself and Betty, rest in peace, Betty, used to go down to the shops and we'd leave money every week off toys for you and clothes for you and stuff and go into the shoe shop. Izzy was the man in the shoe shop. He sold the best of shoes.
So you could buy shoes in Ballymun then. You could buy socks. You can't do that. It's one of the things that I kind of always say. You can't buy a pair of socks.
Could sit in the cafe and have a cup of tea. We'd go to all the shops and leave 10 shillings or £1 off something for you for Christmas and get your clothes. And we had Fifth Avenue, beautiful clothes they had in there. And Izzy's in the shoe shop. He'd order shoes, really good shoes.
And would you have shopped in town as well, going into town?
Not really. If I went to town, I used to have to count yous on the bus.
Oh,
if I
because there were so
brought yous on
many
the
of
bus,
us.
so
1, 2,
many
3,
of
4,
yous.
5, 6. Everyone on the bus.
Yeah, well, all these on the bus. And well, we didn't go into town that much. When you got older, yeah.
So you could have credit in the shop. Not credit. Is that what we call it? I'm going to put a deposit down on that dress for my daughter, and you could pay it over the week or over a couple of months. I mean,
Well, usually for Christmas we did that for toys, and Joe Wynn used to get in some lovely stuff.
Well, it was good in a poor community, wasn't it?
Yeah, it wasn't a poor community really. Where we lived was everyone worked. We all had money. We all had a wage coming in. You know, it went poor when why we left. The drugs came in then.
Yeah.
In the late 80s. That was like the death of the community, I think.
The drugs.
The drugs. Oh my goodness.
So I remember we talked about this before on the podcast about 1985 when the council done the surrender grant and they gave people the opportunity to give up their flat or their house and get $5,000 cash.
It was actually $8,000. It was a 5 and a 3.
It was a 5 and a 3.
Yeah.
And houses weren't much more than that. 10, 11, 12,000.
We bought our house. We didn't actually get the grant, but we said we'll take it off our house because it was all right then.
Yeah.
You know.
That was 84, 85.
Yeah, about that time.
So I would have been like about 12 years of age. And by the time I was 14...
It was gone.
It was gone. The community was gone. Drugs were in.
Yeah.
Heroin had taken part of the community.
Oh, yeah. You could see it down at the shops. Down
So
the
I remember
Panthers.
like 10, 11, 12, going to primary school, on the GA team, in the Scouts and Cubs,
Yeah,
going to church,
yeah.
and then within 2 years, it was like it all evaporated.
That's right.
And this was in the late 80s, is it?
Yes,
And that's when things started changing around Ballymun.
big time, yeah.
So basically, Ballymun was
Well,
a
the
grand
shops
place to
the
be
shop
before
was
this.
pulling out. Shaw's pulled out. That was a big shop. But Tesco's was still there. Shaw's, like where you could buy clothes and, as you said, socks and underpants and stuff
And
like
what
that.
they pulled out.
They were gone, yeah. So
So
things like that happened.
was that the sort of start of these shops sort of closing down, kind of?
Yeah.
Would you remember the time when Big Tommy Maughan used to be down in the
Buying
by
the
the
bit,
flats
course.
selling the carpets and linos and that?
And of course he did. He'd be on the corner there at the garage.
Yeah. Now, as far as I know, people used to absolutely love him down
I
there.
loved him.
And
He always had a lovely bit of carpet, and
did they also know
he
was,
did well.
Did they also know he was a traveller at the time? Then, yeah,
Of course, yeah.
yeah, I know that. I do heard stories that the
People would be going down to him. He'd have
people in the flats all around
Yeah.
had a great respect
and
for him.
he'd
Like.
say, that'll fit your sitting room. He knew every sitting room,
Yeah,
the size. Yeah, that'll fit your place. That'll fit. We had already beautiful lino, Feldman's. He used to come from. It was a horse hair back. I think it was horse hair in the back. Fabulous stuff. That was all over the flats. So
tough
people in the
lino, was
flats wouldn't have been looking in the early days for lino because the flats were all covered. You know, that was covered. You didn't have to do that.
what do you mean covered?
The floors were all covered in the
In
flats.
what?
In the flats.
There's like a lino with a horsehair backing on it.
There was
Oh, they were covered already with that.
already in the flats when we moved in, and it came up the side, so there was no skirting boards. So the lino came up. Wasn't rubber back. It was like a hair. It was beautiful
The
stuff.
horsehair
thick.
back, yeah.
I think it was when the houses came, maybe that lad used to sell his lino. But he knew the size of everywhere. You
Well,
know?
he probably would because he was years at it and he'd get to know
Yeah, he
what
had
people...
lino on carpets.
Obviously, people bring him the sizes and he'd cut it out for them. So
So
then
he
the
knew.
next person that come in and say, I'm looking for a bit for a flat, or, is it for, what's such a room, big room or
Yeah,
small
yeah,
room?
yeah.
Chances are they're probably standard sizes.
He was well known character.
He
big
was,
fella.
yeah. He's a great way of getting on with the
Yeah,
settled people, like, yeah.
And he was always there, as far as I know.
a big
It wasn't
Tom
once
Maughan.
a week or something. He was
No, he
always
was there every single day. He'd be sometimes down there at 4 o'clock in the morning. He'd go down to that. Do you remember the Hill Market?
Down the hill, yeah.
Down
Is that what you call it? The
Dublin?
Hill Market? We used to call it the hill.
The Hill, yeah, the Hill Market. He used to do the same
I was
thing.
in the Hill Street, just off
Every-
Parnell Street.
That's right. Every Saturday morning he'd be down there at 4 o'clock and have all his carpets all set up in his lino. And he used to do great business because the people used to like him down there.
Hardale Graft.
He became, let's say, he became a part of the
Became a
furniture, is
character.
it?
Came a Dublin character.
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah.
I was well known.
Yeah.
He was as well known as anybody else was down
Oh,
there.
yeah.
Like,
So another thing we used to have, Martin, was that we'd have travelling people knocking on the doors, offering. One of the services they used to offer was sharpening your lawnmower blades or sharpening your
Yeah.
knives.
shears and knives. Yeah, that's right.
So you'd
Yeah.
have a fella coming around on a trolley, and you'd give him out the stuff. You need that and sharpen it up, and he'd
Yeah.
sharpen it up. He had like the
Yeah, that
like a sharpening stone.
Yeah, but that became a bigger thing then in the later years with the travellers because they go around in the van then. It has this. It was a motor that was connected to the battery. Now the motor used to come from the back of take an old scrap car. There used to be a fan on the radiator to keep the radiator
Cool
cool.
down, yeah.
This fan would be running at 90 miles an hour, and to take that fan off, and to remove the fan blades off the motor, and replace it with a grinding disc. So then they connect this motor, let's say separately to a battery, put a little switch onto it, and place it into the back of the van. So then the boot of the van will be lifted then, and they'll be all out knocking. There'll be 5 or 6 fellas in one van, and they'll be all knocking at the doors and asking people, do you want your lawnmower, your shears sharpened? But they could do it absolutely professionally.
I've never
Yeah.
seen that. That's
Oh,
deadly.
brilliant. They could do it like, they'd rub say that you're holding onto the motor in your hands now, right? And the blade is spinning for all it's worth. So you're rubbing it against, say if there was, say 5 or 6 long windy blades on a push. Do you ever see a push
Yeah,
lawnmower?
yeah, push lawnmower, yeah.
The old push lawnmowers. And they could leave this blade like brand new in a matter of about 5 minutes. And then the same with the shears. They take the shears and they do the same thing with the shears, run the motor up and down along the sides of the shears where the blade part of it is, and clip, and you'll have it like brand new. And this was the, let's say, the way of earning a few bob. Like.
One of the other things that we got, I remember in the house that we had in Druid Court, was the little coal box in the corner and the bucket that were made out of brass, and they had a little design on it. I think I told you about this before, and we used to get them off the travellers as well.
Yes.
So they were handmade.
So they were actually making them.
They were handmade by travelling people, and they'd have like a little country design on it or something like that.
Yeah. Well, you see, it boils back to a lot of the fact that there was no education. Yeah, if you didn't have education, didn't mean you didn't have a brain. So you had to scramble that brain and think
of a craft.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Scramble that brain and work out a craft of some kind, and just get out there and use it to the best of your ability. And some lads were great. Some of them were very good. Like you'd have the tinsmiths, and they'd make the buckets, they'd make the pans, used to call them a pond. Did you ever hear of a pond jar? Right, to say the word easy, it was a pond jar.
Okay. Yeah, very good.
So now you're dipping this jar into the pond, as you call it.
You get some water.
So it became a pond jar.
Pond jar.
But saying it quick is a pond jar. You see? And that was made out of, say, a chrome material, basically. You might have seen them. And that's how they'd be tipping away with the hammers. And they'd have this, it's like an iron bar. It was like a T shape. And it'd be sunk into the ground, and they could wrap the metal, say the material, which was the chrome again, wherever they used to come across the sheets of it, and they'd have clippers, and they clip this, but they could clip 10 or 20 of them, put them there, and then they'd put them up onto now the bar was called a stake. You couldn't eat this bar now, it was steel. So there'd be a wide one side of it was like a T-shaped, sunk into the ground. One side of it would be a thicker side and the other would be a narrow. So if they were doing work that requires small spaces, they'd use the narrow side of it. And they would have a couple of different types of little hammers. And they tip and tip away. A couple of different types of little, used to call them pinchers. It'd be like a clippers today, but then they had the tin cutters and they had the clippers for folding in on the tin. So it wouldn't be. It'd be taking the sharp edge off it, wouldn't it? And they'd fold it in and squeeze it with clippers. But it was a serious, like genuine, a work of art. Like today, they're using machines to do this. Do you know what I'm saying? But absolutely brilliant. They do that with pots, pans, kettles. Call them burners. Again, the jars, little bowls of every type of. And there was some chancers, but there was some of the older men now. Could absolutely do them like
those skills with your hands. That's what your dad had as well, and your brother
like
skills with your hands.
Yeah,
which I always remember. My dad had skills with his hands. Out the back when we grew up in Ballymun, he was like there was gardening, and he actually built a sofa for us with wood, with whatever it was before bleeding.
I wanted a bay like they have in. McDonald's.
Like a breakfast bar?
Like a breakfast bar. And he built something like that.
As she throws her eyes into the sky. With 6-inch nails, did he?
There was a few. Can't go nail, did he? I can't go hammer.
In concrete nails, what would you call them? Masonry nails.
Masonry
nails, yeah. So I'm going to just go back a little bit. You got married. You were told to get married by your mammy, was it?
Well, the mammy said, "Mommy, go over to the priest." I didn't want that to do with it.
So you were pregnant, and she was saying you're getting married.
She didn't tell me I was getting married. She said, "Come on, go over and see the priest."
And what happened then?
I agreed with it because I liked your dad, and the reason I liked him, he was kind to his mammy. He liked his mammy. He was good. I could feel the vibe around when we were in the flat with his ma. Very caring man. I wasn't used to that growing up. Caring, my father wasn't caring, so I like that. That clinched it there for me.
The love and the caring.
The caring, the good love feeling, caring feeling. It was magic.
So tell us about your wedding. About
what wedding?
Exactly.
What wedding?
Tell us about that. What happened there?
Was it a big fancy hotel or what?
Of course it was.
Yeah.
Give us the bleeding
No.
details, will you? What happened?
It was,
It wasn't traveller style, was it? Going home and having a carry out, no?
you're lucky. That's posh, Martin.
Yeah.
Home and have a carry out. We went to the church, and the priest married us at 7 o'clock in the morning, Monday morning,
Yeah.
on the 15th of June 1970, because I was pregnant and it had to be 7 o'clock in the morning for whatever reason. So
That's the
we were
shame
there.
in the community.
Probably, yeah. So beautiful day, absolute beautiful day.
And
So,
who was there?
Me ma and me and your dad and my brother and sister.
In the
No,
church?
my brother in the church.
Well, his
And
dad
the-
had to be there because it was him you were marrying.
Aye,
wasn't it?
that's right. And me Eric and Agnes, and we were married at 7 o'clock.
What were you wearing?
I was wearing a suit that me Agnes lent me.
And was there a ring?
Yeah, my ma bought the ring.
Ah, lovely.
Yeah,
So your man bought the ring and you bought the suit.
yeah.
Jeez, people were great at the time, weren't they?
I bought the ring in Carty's Jewellers.
Everybody was helping everybody out.
Yeah, Carty's Jewellers in Parnell, in Mulder Street. It was £8, 18 carat gold ring. I lost it. I took it off. My hands were swelling at times, and I don't know what happened.
When did you lose it?
Years ago. So bought me another one since.
No point trying to look for it now, Dean, is there?
It's gone now.
You never know.
Ah,
I still have hope.
So 7 in the morning, shotgun wedding. Paul Scurry, Pauline Ryan,
Yeah, my
and
mummy. My mummy.
and your mammy. And where did you have to live together then, or how did that happen? What was the next step?
Well, we went out to Dunleary for a honeymoon, and for a lunch.
Oh, so you had lunch in Dunleary for the
Dunleary,
honeymoon,
yeah. My brother was bringing his dog out to be serviced.
right? And this was your bleeding
This was
honeymoon.
our honeymoon.
The lap of bleeding luxury out in Dunleary. What was it in Dunleary? What did you do? A bag of chips and a pier or something?
No, it'd be nice.
No, I'm just asking.
no need to be so ignorant now, Dean. Come on.
Yeah, no,
Right,
yeah.
come on.
You're a
now.
little cafe. You don't be doing the traveller accent while Martin's here, embarrassing both of us.
Yeah,
I love that accent.
yeah. The traveller accent.
Yeah.
That's good. Dean never says that. Never.
Did he never?
Oh, he imitates it all right, and he has a
Oh, I
makes a
love
joke
that
of it,
accent.
like.
Yeah,
But he's okay. He's okay. At least you're straight about it.
yeah. Oh, he's dead. So, and that was it. So Fifi went to be serviced, and we had a lunch, and then we collected Fifi and went home. And then we went down to...
Who was at the lunch? You?
Me, Mammy,
All right, you all went there. Okay.
my husband, Eric and I. We went back to Eric's house
Your brother's house, yeah.
after we got married. I wouldn't call it a wedding, after we got married.
And after
A
your
wedding,
honeymoon.
a wedding is a big do, I think. Getting
Yeah.
married is the solemn part of it. That was the best part. The church, getting married. After that, it's my mammy, me, Paul, Eric, Agnes, and Johnny, your dad's brother.
So you wouldn't call it a wedding because you didn't have a do, is it?
No, a wedding is a do. A marriage
is the church and the marriage not the importantest part? No.
That's for said. That's the most important part.
Yeah.
She
wedding-
was saying
that's
a
the
wedding is the
ceremony.
big...
Not the main.
The wedding is the ceremony.
But if you didn't have the church and getting married, then you wouldn't have a wedding, would you?
Yeah, that's the marriage.
Yeah, but if you went to, you could have a do any time and not have a wedding. So
Yeah.
to do wouldn't be classed as a wedding then, would it?
Yeah, I think a wedding is the hotel and all that stuff and having
You
the
think
meal and
so?
all. Yeah, I think the most important part is the marriage.
The marriage, church.
The marriage in the church.
Isn't that the wedding?
I don't think so.
So for her and her head, the wedding is the big thing after the marriage.
Yeah,
Yeah.
You get
that's the-
married.
you
You're
get-
not having a
people-
wedding until you get married. You know what I mean? You can't have the wedding without the marriage, but you can have the marriage and no wedding. Just like you can have a marriage and no honeymoon. But she had a honeymoon in Dunleary in a coffee shop.
What do you mean have a marriage and no wedding, Dean? I don't understand that.
You can have a marriage,
Marriage is,
like a
is
civil ceremony or a ceremony with a priest, and then not have the big do after it, not have the big wedding, the big hotel room.
wedding to me
You
is
could just have the marriage.
Yeah.
We're married. We're married now.
Well, I'm lost with that one, right? I think the wedding is the marriage is the wedding.
You know when you got married,
Yes.
where did you go after the marriage?
We actually had the castle as a reception in the castle.
So you had your
Oh,
wedding
up there,
ceremony,
yeah.
you had your
Castle.
wedding party in the castle.
That was the wedding party. That
Yeah,
wasn't-
but that's what she's saying.
So
That's the way she sees it.
it's
That's the way
basically-
I see it, Martin. That's the way I see it.
So yeah, well, you were entitled to your opinion, yeah.
yeah.
Nobody's taking that away from it. We're just having
Having a conversation.
having a chat about it.
So you got married. You didn't really have a wedding. You went and had a honeymoon in Dunleary.
We had a breakfast.
Oh, very good, yeah.
In Eric's wife Agnes made our breakfast, and then we went out to Dunleary.
Oh, so it was 7 o'clock in the morning. Then you went and had a bit of breakfast in
Yeah.
Eastwall in Agnes's house, and then out to Dunleary.
Yeah. Then we came home. Then we went to Sheriff Street to Paul's ma.
That same day.
Yeah.
Was Paul's ma at the marriage?
No, I was there. Your dad was there. Eric was there. Agnes was there, and Johnny.
This is all news to me because I haven't heard it. I probably did hear it when I was a kid, but I haven't heard it.
Yeah,
Like,
that's all that was
since.
there. That's
And so
all
then
that
you
was
went over to Sheriff's Tree to me dad's ma, and you said
We
we're married.
we had a place there. We lived there.
In your in-laws' house, basically.
Yeah,
Very good.
in our
Yes.
own bedroom. And we went back.
So you lived. What was the name of that building?
Lawrence's mansion
So you lived in Largen's Mansions
Yeah.
in Mary Scurry's flat.
in Danny Scurry's flat. Yeah.
Yeah.
So did you after back again to it's more or less the one question? Did you go off after your wedding? You went out, you had your honeymoon, as you called it, and you came back home.
In Chicago.
Did you go out? I don't mean like that. Did you go out drinking then afterwards? Did you have
No.
a party afterwards?
No,
You didn't? So you
no.
basically went home.
I went home. Paul went out drinking. I didn't drink. I was having a baby.
All right. I thought my poor mother was the only one went home after she got married.
No, I went home. I stayed at home. Paul's sister was there.
Paul went for a few pints, did he? Yeah.
Paul with his brother. Yeah,
Similar to what me out for the done and so.
yeah. He took off his clothes that he borrowed, his suit that he borrowed
Yeah.
Who did he borrow them off?
off Robbie Riley. He's a friend of his.
So he had borrowed the suit. You
Yeah.
were wearing the suit that you had borrowed, and
Yeah.
you got the bleeding ring off your ma.
Yeah.
And you went and got lunch, breakfast in Agnes's and
Yeah.
lunch in Dunleary.
Where would you get it?
So
now it's a far. You made a big step. So moving out to the posh side of Dunleary, yeah,
Yeah, that I
Yeah.
always wanted to live in Portmarnock.
in Portmarnock, yeah.
That was always a dream of mine. I used to pretend when I was a kid in school that I lived in Ballymun.
You used to pretend.
Yes, I used to pretend.
So this was the imagination you had, was
This
it?
was my imagination. So my imagination got me out to Portmarnock. It
Very good.
was survival.
So we're at taking a jump there to Portmarnock. So let's go back for a second. You got married. You were pregnant on your
Yeah.
first child, me
Yeah.
sister Natalie, and you were living in St. Lawrence's Mansions. What's the next step after that?
And then we went to Manchester. Your dad went over to Manchester a few months after. And because it was a bit crowded in the house, because it was Paul's sister, your dad's sister, Betty, and her husband and 2 kids, and the mammy. I mean your dad. So we went over to live in Manchester.
Did he go over before you, or?
He went over. No, not Manchester. Liverpool. He went over before me.
So did you get work over there? He did.
Yeah, it's always work. Yeah, he got work. His brother lived there.
You went over to Manchester, Liverpool,
Yeah,
and you got a bit of work over there, yeah.
all day, yeah. In Liverpool. His brother lived in Liverpool. So he got a job in a foundry.
This seemed to be back in the time where a lot of Irish was sort of, let's say, emigrating, if you like,
They were
to
emigrating
these parts of the world.
From the 50s.
Yeah,
That's when it
all
never
because
really stopped.
all for the sake of work, basically,
All for the sake of work.
because there was no work here.
It wasn't as there was
Well,
work.
there was
yeah,
work
was
for
loads-
everybody.
There was work. It was plenty. I mean, people wanted to travel. We're travellers. The Irish are all travellers. Yeah, my parents, my father travelled. My mother travelled. My sisters. I have a sister in America. I have a sister in Wales. I have a brother in Manchester. So the whole
They travelled, but just without the caravan. Is that it?
yeah, we weren't that push to have a caravan, Martin.
No. So you're saying the travellers was well off because they had caravans?
A lot of well off. A
Yeah.
beautiful caravan.
I don't think back then somehow. Should there be a lot of living in tents like back then?
I never knew that. Now I heard you talking
not?
about that on the with your ma.
In tents.
I didn't
You
know
probably
about it.
became familiar with caravans when travellers moved up around Dublin.
Over there, yeah,
But that's only going back 40 years, like, isn't it?
50 years, yeah.
Well, 50 years. Did they have caravans then? probably because they came up around Dublin from all other parts of Ireland.
I didn't know about the tents.
But previous, they would have been using tents all around the different camps, not even campsites, camps on the sides of the road.
On the side of the road, yeah, exactly.
That's what they would have been
that's
using.
Why they put those boulders
So the
up.
very, very, very odd one would have had a caravan. Actually, they would have had you've heard of the horse-drawn caravan?
Yes, I love that. Yeah,
the big wagon.
Big wagon.
They're actually beautiful. To see them today, they're beautiful. So then up around, say, going back, I said about 40, 45 years, that's when times probably changed for some travellers. They start, let's say, not settling completely, but settling in campsites. Not on the sides of the road.
Well, you would have had to settle if you couldn't stay on the side of the road if you moved on.
This is where small changes were getting made.
Yes.
Where they were obviously sick and tired of getting moved from the sides of the road.
Yes.
Throughout every bit of Ireland.
Yes.
And including Dublin also.
Yeah.
But then the council started, say, making, you might call them transient sites, where the traveller man and his family could move on to the site and move off again whenever he felt like it. Maybe move back down the country or the far side of Dublin or any part of Ireland, or maybe to England for that matter. So that's when slowly, that's when caravans start becoming popular with the traveller, because the reality of it was that they probably couldn't afford caravans. So caravans became the new thing and tents were left behind. So basically then gradually tents wore out because they were moved on to, as I said, the campsites. Naturally, the ground was done by tarmac. You couldn't pitch a tent, even if you wanted to.
No, that's amazing, yeah.
Well, you couldn't if you wanted to.
So you see the way you were describing in the 80s, in the late 70s and early 80s, where the council didn't do their part of the bargain. You paid your rent and then you could see the area degrading. Where Martin is living, where travellers are living in general.
Right now, we're living in the early 70s.
So that's what I'm saying. It's like 40 years ago.
This was in Thomas Clark Tower when we moved into it in 1972. It was beautiful. We had a man, corporation fella, anyway, used to clean the stairs, disinfect the stairs from top to bottom every week, once a week. Monday was my day for cleaning the balcony and the lift. Tuesday was the next girls' day, Wednesday was the next girls' day, and Thursday was the next, and the two people at the back, the other 2 days. The kids could play out and in the little hall, because the door was, we leave our doors open and we could hear the lift if it was coming and going. But the door between the balcony or the hall and the stairs, we could keep it closed. So that was the first thing to go, the door. The security on the door, a little lock we had. That eventually went, and that wasn't repaired. Now, we had 2 lifts in the tower. Lift that went to the even floor.
One that went to the odd floors.
Uneven. So the even one stopped outside my so I could hear if the lift was open. I could go out to the kids. But that was the start. The door, the security for the kids, the door was stopped. And then the stairs started getting smelly. And
so it was little by little, bit by bit.
And the man that used to come over and do this stuff, I remember I was only there a few weeks and I couldn't lift the window.
Yeah.
It was sticking. And I went over to the corporation in Shangaan, and then I went a little bit of shopping, and again I get home, he was knocking on my door to fix the window. You know.
So that started to slip.
The maintenance was slipping.
Yeah, the maintenance was slipping. So you were still paying your rent, but the maintenance was slipping. And what Martin is saying is they're still paying their rent, but the maintenance is slipping. And it's slipping.
It's 30, like it slipped.
It's slipping 30 or 40 years. What he feels like it's up where they are it feels like that period in the 70s again, where
it's like Soweto. Would it be like that?
Like a shanty town.
Yeah.
Kind of. It wouldn't be too dissimilar. I brought a guy from London, a rapper from London, up onto the site about 2 years ago, and he had just done a world tour, and he came out of his tour bus onto the site, and he nearly started crying, and he went, "I've just been all over the world. I've never seen anywhere like this. What is this place?" I said, "These are Irish travellers."
Is this all about money with the corporate?
Yeah, with the councils, especially Dublin City Councils, it is all about money. Now, I done a small bit of let's say, a small bit of looking up research, if you like, about the different councils all around Ireland. And in certain areas, some of the councils are great. Like, for instance, small towns. If there's a certain amount of travellers in that small town, they will be looked after. But it doesn't happen everywhere now. It happens, let's say lesser times than more, if you like. The councils they'll be granted certain amount of monies from the government to say, look, there's a certain amount of travellers in your area. Go and see how they're living, or what kind of facilities they have, or what facilities they need, or try to help them out, let's say, to meet their needs, if you like, accommodate them in some way. But it's a very, very, very small percentage of councils are doing that. The councils are taking praises for actually handing the funds that's handed to them to facilitate travellers' specific needs, if you like, and they're handing it back to the governments. And they're saying
it's not spent.
They're not even making contact with the travellers, most of the travellers.
So they won't get the money again.
And they're saying, see, for a long, long time, the councils, they don't give no knowledge completely to the travellers. So the travellers were lost for this kind of knowledge. They probably didn't even understand there was money's being given from the governments to the councils,
Irish citizens,
to look after them in certain senses. But today, the travellers are a little bit more educated. They're a little bit more understandable. They're inclined, let's say, to talk more about stuff. Most of them, not everybody, but most of them, and sort of stand up to the councils a bit and say, look, this is how it is. We know how it is. You're literally holding back on everything, if you like.
So I think what's going to happen, Martin, is that just like in Ballymun, there was a regeneration, which the travelling people in Ballymun didn't really benefit from. The reason the regeneration happened to Ballymun was because the people in the community here stood up and said, listen, we're after been paying rent for the last 20 odd years. This place, you didn't hold up your end of the bargain. It's after turning into a shithole.
That's right.
We would like a regeneration. We would like you to look for funding from the government. They looked for 500,000. They got 1 billion. They regenerated the area. Again, the travellers were left out of that part of it. And now in 2022, travellers are finally starting to stand up and go, hold on a minute here. What's going on? And I think that's not only happening in this community, it's happening across the board.
It's not happening enough, Dean.
It's not happening enough, but it is starting to happen, Martin.
What I think,
it is starting to happen in 2022.
It's happening slowly.
2022 is, for me, is one of the first years where travelling people are going, you know what? We need to stand up here. We need to really have our voices heard.
Like that time when that place up there, that new big super depot that Dublin City Council is building now, the first stance that we made there was, when they decided to build on that land, was right on our doorstep, basically. We sent in word to Dublin City Council, look, as soon as these guys come here to work, we'll tell them to go. So that's what did happen then. So anyway, from there then, we done, let's say, peaceful protests, if you like, pickets, basically, to get the council to listen to us. So since that now, that's, just say, a little bit over a year ago, we've held 5 pickets. The fact that we done them protesters, yeah, I'm going to be honest about it, right? I was ashamed of my life to do a protest. I didn't know what people were going to think of me, or what's this fella acting the aegis for? Or why is he, like, who's he to protest? Or you're thinking all kinds of stuff.
I think you have to act the aegis to realise that you're not an aegis.
You have to sometimes make an aegis of yourself.
Not an aegis.
You have to make an aegis of yourself for to get something sometimes.
Here's the aegis from the site. We want this.
What I do...
We need.
Yes.
We need.
What I do think, the fact that we did do some peaceful pickets, if you like, it did get Dublin City Council to listen to us. They did take a bit of action, but it was done by force.
That's probably the way it has to be done.
Right. I'm just thinking, travellers all around Ireland, the fact that there's nothing getting done for them is because they're not stepping up to their mark.
Yeah, exactly.
They need to look at, hold it, it's like this, something has to be done here. They need to get together in different areas and make a stance. And if it means going down to the local authority, the local council offices, then go there. Block up the doors. Say what you have to say. Raise your voice. Let this be seen and heard. the councils of Ireland will listen then, because this the chances are it goes on to the media and all the social platforms.
And then it's blown up.
So people do hear this. So what you're doing, you're bringing shame onto these councils. The councils that doesn't care about travellers in the first place.
Putting the spotlight on them to do the work.
Sure, look at all the settled communities. Fair play to them. Throughout Ireland, if there's a problem, they'll go and protest that problem. They'll hold it peacefully, but yet in the end they get good results.
Yes.
Because it's the only way to get people to listen to them, and especially the councils and the governments. And that's why I think travellers shouldn't be ashamed to do this, like I was. Genuinely, I'm not denying it. I was ashamed of my life to go. I thought very, very hard about even standing up to a picket.
Yeah, but who are you doing it for?
Doing it for myself and my family.
Of course.
And I expect every other man to do the same thing.
Yeah.
It's like we're ashamed to do these things. We're shy. We haven't got the courage or the willpower to do it.
But you have. You're doing it now, aren't you?
No, we didn't. We don't realise we have it. We have it, but we don't realise. We're not showing it.
Yes.
And like I said, 9 out of 10 traveller men are the same way.
Yeah.
We're thinking about what's the next person say, what's the other person say.
Yeah.
But when you get results, the attitude changes.
They're
saying there, look, well, fair play to you, man. He done such a thing. He
did.
Well,
the problem is when you don't get the results.
If you keep going.
Keep going.
If you don't get results,
if you don't get results, what I have seen.
Don't give up. Keep going.
What I have seen is don't try because you mightn't get the result that you want. If you do try and you don't get the results, there'll be shame in it.
My honest opinion is that the councils are not shamed enough.
No, I'm not talking about that. I'm not talking about the council.
No, I'm saying it.
I'm talking about travelling people. My experience is that they won't try because they might fail. And if they fail, there'll be shame. Does that make sense to you?
What I was saying was, if you fail, keep on trying.
Yeah, but you're only at the realising that 50 years of age.
Yes, that's right, yeah.
You're only at the realising that.
Yes.
2 years ago, if I had said to you, we're going to go up and do A, B and C, you would have said, I can't do that because of the shame.
Yeah, but I only made a stance on this because the fact that we were being ignored by Dublin City Council for so long. So now, there's guys now this minute on that site where we are there. Everybody wants to protest now. Nobody wants to do it first. Do you see what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Because we're all too ashamed and too shy of doing it. If travellers all around Ireland put the shame in the pocket, as you call it, and get out there and protest against these things. I'm not saying march up and down the country every single day, travellers' rights this and travellers' rights that. No, do it in your own area. If there's a council in your area that's not looking after the needs that they're getting, literally they're getting paid to look after, if you like, then highlight them. Highlight them to the max.
Do your job.
And get them out. To make sure they do what they do what
job.
Needs to be done. But back again, the problem is travellers are too shy and too ashamed of this. They haven't got that inside them where they want to say, look, let's get out here and do this.
Well, many travellers would it take?
They sort of need to back each other up kind of stuff.
Many travellers would it take?
It doesn't take a lot of travellers to do it.
You, one.
That's all it takes is one, but it's nice to have at least 5 or 6 around you.
They will eventually, yeah.
Do you know what I mean?
I'm going to challenge you on that, Martin, because you said to me a couple of weeks ago, I can't do this, I'm just one person. And I said to you, you can do it.
Yeah, because
one person can do it.
Yeah, but the point about it is, one person might maybe think they can do it, but it gets very, very stressful. It weighs you down then, and if you're not used to doing this, let's say it can stress you out and drag you through the gutters. It's not as simple as me saying, I'm going to go out there and have a protest and I'm going to do it and that's it. Without a doubt, it is stressful, but the most important thing is making the first step.
Oh, so that's
plucking up that courage.
So that's the fourth step. And you in this community here was the person recently to make the fourth step, which inspired other people to make the fourth step. And now there's more and more people making the fourth step together.
Yeah, but it would be nice to see.
So it started with one person.
Martin, did you not just win an award?
It would be lovely to see this happening all over Ireland.
Did you win an award for Spirit of the Community there a couple of days ago? And was presented by the Lord Mayor of Dublin.
My mother for that time, she done she gave us a great story on the podcast about travellers basically. Yeah. And the culture and sort of where travellers emerged from, all that sort of stuff. So it was lovely, it was very nice.
Yeah, well there you go.
She was
that's the two of you.
She was the proudest woman
two
alive.
you standing, and the rest will follow because people are inspired by you because you're in spirit. You have the courage of spirit.
I'd hope so because if more of this thing, like I didn't do nothing great or nothing big anyway in the first place, only just getting out of bed and go down and.
But isn't that God working through you? Isn't that the Spirit working through you?
It is. As a fellow would say, I can't change the world or maybe for whatever.
You don't have to.
But as Peter said here last
is,
week, you only have to do your bit, but you have to do your bit.
You're doing it though.
The point I'm trying to make here is that travellers are always pushed back. Always push back. If they can only pluck up their courage and say, look, I'm going to protest against this. They're too shy sometimes, too ashamed of what might come out of it.
Who's pushing the travellers back? Is it themselves?
No, it is in a sense, yes. Yeah, it is.
It is. If
they're pushing themselves back because they have because of what they think of other people thinks of them. If that makes any
mental
sense.
Stuff. Mental.
Do you know? Yeah, it is.
It is mental.
So I think anyway, if there was more of this happening all around Ireland would be a better place in the travelling community.
It just needs to happen in St. Margaret's.
So it's mental as in it's in your mind.
It's in the mind. It's thinking negative.
So I remember a conversation that you and Martin had the first time you met in your house, Ma. It was a conversation that lasted probably about 20 minutes, half an hour.
Yeah.
And you and Martin talked about a lot of this type of stuff. And you talked about where you are now in your life after being married, after travelling parts of the world, after having 6 kids and living in Ballymun, and then having to move out because of heroin and drugs. And then you moved down to Clonliffe Road and you had another life down there.
Yeah.
And then all your kids grew up.
Yeah.
You moved out to Portmarnock. And in that time, you had gone on your own journey, faced your own shame and demons and fear.
Yeah.
And you and Martin had that conversation. And Martin came back to me and said, wow, that was amazing. That was amazing. Your mother's an amazing woman. And it's one of the reasons that we wanted to bring you on here to talk about that type of stuff. Because we can talk about where you came from and all your history and all your kids. But the real journey you're on is your recovery journey.
Yeah.
So what's the recovery journey?
I am in recovery in a 12-step program for alcohol consumption. And it's not really, I've learned, it's not the alcohol. It was my thinking, my mental health that brought me. When I had a drink, the stresses of my life would go, don't worry about it. It's like taking drugs. It's like the latest drugs. So with the stresses of my life from growing up in a home where it was dangerous to grow up, dangerous for me, for our lives. Our life was threatened. To grow up, and threatened mean like beatings and stuff like that. So, I mean, a little child being beaten could be killed. No, so that was a threat. It wasn't safe. It wasn't a safe home. When I started drinking about 14 years of age, and I had some supper cider or whatever it was, that gave me courage to stand up to the abuser and say, no more. No, this doesn't happen anymore. And that abuser stood down. What I'm saying about being in spirit is you standing up to the thinking, I haven't got enough courage. I am spirit. Dean said about inspiring people. We inspire people with God, the Word of God, the prayers. Your prayers are working, Martin. You ask God and thank God. Your prayers are working because you just got that word, you and your mammy, from the podcast, the spirit of the community. I mean, the many lads and men over there did that. Nobody. You starting, you've taken the first step. So my recovery is 12-step program, which is if I'm in trouble in my head, I write to God. I write a letter to God to take away the fears. I write the fears, God, and I write the fear. I have fear that I'm losing my mind, which sometimes happens. I mean, today I was nervous coming over here. That's my thinking. That's my mental health. My spirit is here now. I am here. I'm grounded. I'm talking the truth, and that's spirit. I mean, if I was to tell myself I've no courage, that'd be a lie. I am courageous. If I was to tell myself I'll never get a home, or there'll be nothing done over here in the council, that's a lie. The council are great. The council are doing this for us. Change the narrative. Be positive about the council.
In what way, like?
Just say to yourself, tell yourself the truth that they're doing the stuff. They're doing this work. We have a new fella coming on now. See him coming out to your place and you pointing out we need that, and see the work getting done, Martin. Change the whole picture in your head from where it is now, because you've created that. People over there created that. So you can create fabulous bungalows that you want. Just see them. Tell yourself the truth, because the devil, if you like, in us, because we were all born like that in sin, if you want to believe your Catholic teaching. So the devil will tell us we're no use, can't do that.
That's right.
You're no use, you'll never do that. You can't get on that podcast. That's where I was getting told this morning.
Pushing you back all the time.
Pushing me back. So I say my prayers. Father, I offer myself today. And my prayers that I have in my AA programme. Myself, my poor me, will stand out of the way and Spirit just comes straight in and gives me the courage to come here. And that's the courage that you're talking. You have the courage. I am the courage. God will not push us in any way. You know, God will allow us to live this life whatever way we want to do it. Give us anything we want. If I am no good, that's exactly what we have. I am presence, that's exactly what we have. Once we say the I am before it. I am love, that's exactly what we have. But because the other dark side of us is so strong, when we're idle, when our mind is on crap, the darkness comes in and it can make us forget how powerful we are and where we came from. So when we stay in spirit, we're in the light and the dark, and we can go into the dark with the light. God will come in with us into the dark and over there and over to the council and change it for you. Put words in your mouth for you to say to them. Because you have the courage, Martin, you have a voice.
Thanks be to God.
Yeah.
So, and there's different ways of looking at that. There's the God way you're saying. There's the spiritual way.
It's the same.
There's the visualization way that some sports people use. I'm going to visualize this and it's going to happen. Basically, what you're saying is imagine the reality that you want. Imagine the vision, the future that you want, and go after it.
Talk like that. This is a tongue that can lie to us. So our mind tells us when we mind God.
And it's
our prayers are powerful, Martin.
That's right.
And it's easy for us to shame ourselves, shame others,
shame other people,
listen to other people's negative talk about themselves, negative talk about us, and feed that part of us, that insecure part of us. But the more, what you're saying is the more that you
pray,
feeds the more spiritual or love part of it.
Mind it. Do you remember when we were kids? Well, I don't remember when I was kids. Like kids would be taunting you or whatever, and somebody would say, don't mind them. So don't let my mind go on that negativity. Bring my mind back to here I am. Because
Martin talked about annoyance.
His gripe with the council.
His annoyance at it. And we can back ourselves into a grave nearly with that heaviness.
Yeah.
Or we can become liberated from it. Continue the work that you're doing. That's where salvation is, or that's where the
that's what you're here for.
The liberty from that shit is doing the bleeding work. The hard part is stepping up to do the work, Martin. Which you've noticed is actually when you step up and do the work, it's not that bleeding bad.
Yeah,
that's right.
It's not that bad.
No.
And what you're doing now is you're encouraging other people like you, other men like you, other women like you, other travellers like you, encouraging and inspiring them to go, you know what, just take the first bleeding step and I'm going to be there standing beside you.
Lovely.
That's right.
Do you hear the word encourage, Martin? Encourage. Be encouraged. Encourage, that's what that means.
It's a powerful word, isn't it?
Yeah, encourage.
And we talked about words last week and the week before.
Powerful, yeah.
Like greed, shame,
that's right,
courage, charity. All these words, they're very fucking powerful. They are very, very powerful. The words and the prayers you say are very, very powerful.
Yes, oh yes. Beautiful. And thank God. Thank God.
And you can feel now in this conversation, the energy has shifted from blamey, pointy fingers, they fucked up Ballymun, they messed up the travellers, they done this and that too. We can actually change this between us. We can stand up as communities and get that stuff that we think other people are there to provide. You know? And if we think all our lives they're there to provide that, we'll never step up.
No, that's right.
We'll never get the courage to step up.
To be encouraged.
And if we always want to be pointing the fingers at other people, don't step up. But if you want to point the finger at yourself and go, I can do this.
Yeah.
I can do this.
It's not necessarily about actually pointing fingers at other people. It's about pointing out the people who are responsible and saying they're the ones that need to do something about certain
And
things.
what I'm saying is they
whatever
are
it might
responsible,
be.
but we're also responsible in it.
So you have to highlight the situation to get the people out that are responsible and get them to sort out their job, if you like.
And as controversial as this sounds, we are also responsible. Dean is responsible for Dean.
Maybe, I don't know if that's what you're coming at. Is it a case where people can be responsible for not actually speaking up?
Absolutely, yeah.
Yeah?
Yeah. By sitting back and by just not
It's
taking
like saying, look, the
their
council are
power.
responsible for not doing what they're supposed to do. But then the travelling man is responsible for not telling them what they're supposed to
There you
do.
go, yeah.
Yeah, but also not just a travelling man.
No, I'm just saying, like, I
Yeah.
know.
But anybody who's kind of
I
sits
seem
back
like
and
I'm all
starts,
about the
starts
traveller
like
here.
in
Like,
this
but-
country,
Yeah.
we're great at blaming the government.
That's right, yeah.
And the government are the biggest fuckers for not doing anything. But also get up and do the thing
But
that
who
you
runs the
need to be
country?
doing
Who runs
yourself.
the country, Dean, if you can't point at it and look at the government, like?
Okay, but there's a balance between how much do they do. They provide the roads and the health and the hospitals and some housing and this and that.
Oh, yeah, there's some great stuff. There's no mistake about
But
that.
also,
Yeah.
we're responsible for our own stuff. We're responsible for our own lives. Get up. What part do you play in your life? It's probably the better way of phrasing it.
Improve your life.
Improve your life. Get up and do your thing.
Yeah.
Be
Yeah.
active in your life. And that's a hard thing to do because it's easy to sit back and do fuck all.
Make a stance and maybe make a change.
Dean's dad, when we went out to Ballymun, he had his own business and it just went too much for him. Bills weren't getting paid and cars weren't getting paid for. And so I wanted to finish off the mortgage. We hadn't got a long time on the mortgage. And I rang them up and they said, the mortgage hasn't been paid in 3 months. Now, if it was happening today, we'd get a letter through the post, but this time they didn't get that. And I said it to Paul, I said, the mortgage hasn't, oh yeah, I missed that one. You know, he was so much going on in his head
Yes.
that he didn't take it a minute he's a worker. Like he'd work all the hours God sent. But the business end of it, he didn't do. He left it to an accountant. Well, I stepped up to that when I found that out, that we could have lost our house. And I went down to, because Paul was self-employed, his tax number was my tax number while I was at home with the kids. I didn't have a tax number, so I couldn't get a job. I couldn't get a course or anything. So I went down to the tax office and I got my old tax number from when I worked in when I was a kid. And it's a new tax number now. So I registered with them. And I said, can I get some from Dole? And she said, around the Dole office, which was around the corner. I said, I'm signing. I didn't know how to do this. Never did anything like that. I'm signing on. I've heard those words. And I said, will I get money? She said, no, you have no benefits. So I said, when will I get benefits? She said, you have to be signed on for about 6 months. It wasn't really the money I wanted. I wanted to get a job or get a course. So there was courses. This was about August. And there was courses in Ballymun in the comp. And I rang up the girl in the camp. I said, I'd like to do a course. And she said, it's only for locals. Or you'll only get paid if you're local. 65 quid a week, I think. And lunch money and travelling money and everything. I said, I reared my kids in Ballymun. I said, okay. I said, my kids went to that school. I went back to school. I did computer course, typing courses, business, you name it. The second year I did the course, back to work. So they taught us everything there, free. And gave me £65 a week. I never had that much money in my hand for myself. I used to go every day. And because I went every day, and we were doing English as well, and she'd have a couple of extra books. And I always got a book because I was always in. I loved it. We were to get our own work experience. And I put into Beaumont Hospital. So what I'm saying is, what I had to do to get myself out of that mess, I allowed myself and Paul to get into. We got into that mess together because he'd pay the bills and I said, he's paying the bills. I didn't go in, I didn't get into it. So I got the job in
So you basically became dependent, is that what you're saying?
independent.
You were
Independent,
dependent
sorry.
I
for
was
so.
dependent
You were
full time.
dependent, but you became independent.
I became independent. That's what I needed to do. This stuff had to happen for me to do that.
So the situation had to get shit. You had to be threatened with possibly losing your home in order for you to realise, I need to stop being dependent here on this husband or this council or this government and become an independent person. And,
which I could do.
And get up and do it.
Take the steps. And it's like me programme. I took the steps to have a spiritual awakening, if you like, to realise,
because you could have sat in your addiction, you could have sat in your alcohol, you could have sat in all that type of stuff and just rode that out and blame everyone else.
Pain was too much.
What happened with the alcohol? When did you start drinking? You're 14?
I was 14 when I started drinking.
And did you continue drinking or just stop it and start again?
No, stop and start. An alcoholic, some alcoholics drink every day. I didn't. I drank.
When did you recognise you were an alcoholic?
When my mind started going and I start hearing things that wasn't there.
Did you become dependent on alcohol?
I don't know how to describe it. It's just, if I take a drink, I can't stop. My body doesn't handle it. And then I have an obsession. It starts off with an allergy and then an obsession. I want more, I want more, I want more, I want more. Because the body wants it. Alcoholic's body can't handle alcohol.
So physically...
But they have to have it.
Physically, chemically, your body can't process alcohol.
Doesn't process alcohol. Because I start drinking, that's all right, the allergy, but then there's the obsession keeps it going. My mind keeps it going.
So it was the mind then, was it?
It's the mind, it's mental health. So the mind keeps it going.
What do you mean, mental health, thinking that you needed it all the time?
It's an obsession. Like somebody with OCD, they'd have to be moving that here and there and there. It's like an obsession. I wouldn't be able to stop drinking. The obsession would drive me to it. I would go through the wall for it. The obsession in my mind.
But what are you doing? You were drinking. Do you know when you felt like that you needed to drink then, would you actually go?
I never felt like I needed to drink. I used to go down to the penthouse with my friends. I thought I was just like everybody else. But they'd be able to get up in the morning time and get the kids to school. I'd be on my knees. Their dad would be there for them. I wouldn't literally... And then when they'd be on to school, there'd be people shouting downstairs. There was nobody there. That's a DT.
When we were going to school in the morning, your DTs would kick in and you'd hear voices downstairs.
And that was the effects of the drink?
That's the effects of the withdrawal of the drink. If I had a drink beside me in the morning time, I wouldn't have those effects. That's why people that drink every day have to drink every day, because the withdrawal is too much, like somebody on heroin.
You get delirious. You get these things called delirium tremors, called DTs.
Tremens, yeah.
And they're like, the walls are crawling with rats and spiders and there's voices in the building.
And that's the effects the alcohol took on you?
That's the effect
of not having the alcohol.
Not having the alcohol, the withdrawals of the alcohol. The withdrawals. If somebody drinking all the time wouldn't have that, because they wouldn't allow themselves.
Let's say you were smoking and you gave cigarettes up and you'd have an urge to smoke. It's the urge for the drinking brings that stuff on. So
I realised when I was 39, I either wanted to kill myself, which was very regular, planning dying, because I couldn't put my husband and the kids through this anymore because of the mood swings and mental nuts.
Yeah, but when you get the alcohol then, was that taking all that away from you? It was?
That it take all anxiety. That's why I didn't want to come here today, anxiety. But now I have a programme, I have my prayers to quell that anxiety, because the anxiety wants me either to run or stay or fight or flight.
Yes.
That's
fight, fly, freeze or fuck off.
Fight, fly, freeze or... That's what my anxiety wants me to do. But with this programme that I'm on, it quells that anxiety just for today. So I can sit here and talk to you.
So does this still happen to you? Yes.
I have to go to a meeting.
Do you feel the effects of the drink are still with you?
No, it's 32
years.
32 years since I had a drink.
Since you had a drink?
32 years of alcohol.
Right. And is the urge ever
still
there?
The disease is still there. It doesn't go away. Yeah.
So you reckon then alcoholism is a disease?
Well, that's what the World Health Organization puts it down at.
So in my ma's body, it's her inability to have the enzymes to process the alcohol.
I haven't got the enzymes in my liver to process, and a lot of us don't.
So is every day a fighting day for you to stay away from alcohol?
Every day is giving me will and my life over to the power of God. Or else I'm...
And you think that's what keeps you going, the power of God?
No, I don't think.
No, I don't mean that. I can rephrase that question if you want. So that's what keeps you going, the power of God?
Definitely.
Well, it's kind of like you, Martin. You go
So you get strength. Is that what you're saying? You get strength and courage from prayer? Is that what you're saying?
100%.
Yeah,
100%.
Same as you, Martin. You go to
Yeah,
mass
million
almost every
times.
day.
yeah.
And
No, I don't drink. I'm not a drinker.
I know, but if you
You're
didn't
not-
go to mass
But
every
I
day,
have, like, say, everyone has struggles in life. I do understand that.
Yeah.
what would you be like if you didn't go to mass?
Lost.
Lost. Well,
That's the
that'd
same.
be the same. It's exactly
Well,
the same thing.
I was
I'd be
lost.
down now to. I'd be as weak as a cat, as a fellow would say.
Yeah.
I find strength from prayer. I find guidance from prayer. I get courage from prayer. I get understanding. I get knowledge. I get wisdom. I make good decisions from prayer. I get a lot of peace from prayer. Basically, my whole entire life revolves me around prayer, and that's also for my family. Everything and anything that comes good in my life has come through prayer, and I firmly believe that, and I don't doubt that for 1 second. And I, as I said again, I don't drink. My father was I'd say, call him a top class alcoholic if you want. That's the only way I can sort of
He's a
describe
sick
it.
man.
It was sad, yeah, very, very
Sick.
sad.
No, sick.
Yeah, well, it was sad for also because the fact that that drink took over his life. I know a lot of people, friends and relatives, best way of saying it, caught up and drink. And I thank God every day. I feel sorry for them. I pray for them. But I also thank God every single day that I haven't got caught up in something like that. Because I come from a family of drinkers. My entire background, on both sides of me, I'm not saying that they're all alcoholics, but some of them are very fond of drink. Some of them. Let's say I'm in the middle of all of this, if you want. By the grace of God, I don't have that inflicted on me, if you like. But that's not to say that I don't pray for the people that do have this downfall in life, say, which is alcoholism.
It reminds me of passage in the Bible where Daniel was put into the cage, the lions, and they didn't touch him.
Similar, yes.
That's what
the way you're
that's where you
describing
are.
it.
You're over there.
Well, yeah.
And we are. The world is the lions.
The whole world is, yeah, that's
whole
right.
world.
And we're
With the
sitting
Spirit
in
of
the
God.
middle of all this, but yet,
We won't be touched.
how do you survive all this?
God.
How I survive it is through my prayers. And I know that. I am 100% certain of that. That everything good that comes into my life and bears with me is through the grace of God. By the grace of God, through my prayers and the faith that I have in God. And I don't doubt that for 1 second. Never.
Prayer is a positive talk, positive words.
Prayer is a positive talk.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You're praying to the Almighty.
Yes, you're communicating with God.
You're in our higher self.
You're bringing God into your world. You're inviting yourself into His. If you say a prayer every day, well then you're keeping yourself in, let's say, in communion with God. You're keeping yourself in communication with Him. So you're not letting go, and also He's not letting you go. He's holding on to you because you want Him to hold on to you. So it's very, very, very powerful. I know there's probably people out there that can explain these in different ways. I'm explaining them my way because that's the way I see it, and that's the way I feel it. And I've been like that basically my entire life. And as I said again, every morning I wake up, I just bless my face. I thank God for another day. I don't care if it's raining, hail, snow, no matter what. And I just thank God for that day, for that new morning, and for my family, all of my family.
And that's what we do in
So
AA.
me ma does
That's
that
my
as well.
Every
program.
single day I do that.
My ma does that as
A
well,
day won't
Martin,
pass without that.
in our 12-step program. And step 1 of the 12-step program, which is like a recovery program, and it's recovery month. September is recovery month, especially here in Ballymun. It's becoming very popular now. There's less and less shame and guilt about recovery. But the 4th step of the 12-step program is what?
We admitted we were powerless over alcohol, that our lives had become unmanageable. Now, not only over alcohol, over people, places and things. We're powerless over people, powerless over places. We cannot control.
What is the main things that cause people to drink alcohol?
Social, to be together socially is the main.
Socialising.
But socialising for
Yeah,
people
but
to have a drink.
does it take alcohol to actually socialise? Does alcohol have to be involved in socialising?
Not at all.
Can people not go and have a meal basically?
Well, not everybody knows that they have the disease of alcoholism. What's coming to my mind is people thinking they haven't got enough, they need more. They need the party never end. The party
Is it
must
an
go on.
emptiness inside them that craves for this?
Well, the only emptiness I know that was inside me is my communication with God. And when I got
Yes.
that, I'm not empty anymore.
What about people that don't have God in their lives?
God help them.
He's there. Yeah, that's true.
That's all I can say. God help
Absolutely,
them.
1,000,000%. He's there for them. We know that. We have to reach out and welcome him into our lives. Right, but sad to say,
Consciously contact God.
sad to say that some people don't understand this and don't have this in their lives.
That's their journey, Martin.
That's right.
We're with God anyway. We just leave him for more. God doesn't be enough for us. And then we leave God for more out in this world. And we're on our own. And then what happened to me, I went back to my father. Went back to the Garden of Eden in my mind, because it's all in my mind. The disease is centred in my mind, and so is God, and he's in my heart.
You want more. You want the thing never to end. The party never to end.
Party for a drinker, for me and my friend was the last people to leave the pub.
If you were to say something to your friends like if you had friends that are drinkers, would you say to them, turn to God?
I don't have friends that are drinkers.
No, I'm only just saying using this as a...
If somebody came to me for help, I
What
would
kind
help
of advice
them.
would you give them?
I wouldn't say anything about their drink. If they came to me for help, I would help them.
You'd help them.
Yeah, if they were sitting there drinking all the hours God sent, and I wouldn't give them a thought.
You
That's
wouldn't?
their journey, no. Unless they ask for help. And God won't come to us unless we ask. They'll get to the rock bottom. If it's in a box or wherever way to get to it, they'll get to it. So somebody passing on with an active alcoholic will go to their father anyway. They're with their father anyway. That's their journey.
What do you mean by they're with their father? They're with God anyway.
Anyway.
So what
We
you're
just
saying
think
is,
we're not.
if you see somebody drinking, and if they're asking for help, you'll reach out and help.
Yeah.
If they're not asking for help, they're not ready for help, and they need to get to their place where they're asking for help, which is their rock bottom.
That's the journey.
That's their journey.
Yeah.
I was going to say there, one of the things that they call cocaine is more. One of the street names for cocaine is more.
Yeah.
Give me more. I don't want this to stop. And alcohol in this country in the 60s, 70s and 80s was that thing. Like the pub, one of the pubs that you used to drink in used to have 50 pints pulled on the bar at any one time.
Yeah.
You know?
But not everybody is alcoholic that drink in the pubs.
No, not everybody is alcoholic, because what you're saying is alcoholic for you is a disease, is an enzyme that you don't have in your liver to process the alcohol.
That's right.
What about the person that doesn't have the courage or the willpower to ask for help?
That's the journey, Martin. So
Can certain people not reach out to them and say, look, I'm here to help you? Even though you're not asking for the help, I know you need that help.
I know what you mean by that.
But I'd like to offer my help to you.
Well, I mean, sitting
that.
beside somebody is offering the help. There's a fella that's down in Baldoyle, and he sits outside the garage. And I'd say, how are you? I'm an alcoholic, or wherever I'd say to him if he was having problems. Wherever I felt from God, I'd say to him, if he wanted any help, he'd ask there and that. I do that.
Yeah, you have a way obviously that's your way of seeing it, because you understand that. Sometimes people mightn't just have that in them to ask for help, and they might still need that help. They might be just waiting for someone to say, look, I want to help you. Do you want to accept help?
The best thing I could do would be to pray for them.
I believe in that, yeah.
And hold their hand if that was the or do
I
this
believe
to them.
that prayer is, to say can move mountains.
To prayer, I think I'm going back to the Bible again. I love the Bible. Silver and gold I don't have for you. That's a great piece. I can't remember where it's from. Silver and gold I don't have for you. When they see the beggar on the road or the whoever.
But what you do have is your example. They can see you being you.
They can be inspired because I'm inspired.
That's
I'm
what I'm
in
saying.
spirit.
Yeah, they can see you. They can see you in recovery doing your 12-step program.
God knows them.
If it's a person, but if it's a person there, like you said, outside the garage, and you know he needs help, and he doesn't know you, or even say your background or what you've been through, well, how is he supposed to ask for that particular person to help if he doesn't know this person can help him? But if that person that's actually passing by him knows that they can help him, but he doesn't know that they can help him, so he's not prepared to ask then, is he?
I go to God first. I pray to God first
For that particular person.
Oh yeah.
That is one good move.
In this
God
world,
knows everything.
in this world on my own, I am an idiot, a fool, an idiot, a tick, a clown, my ego.
Would we describe ourselves
I wouldn't
as
describe us.
wandering souls on our own?
Of course we are. So when I contact my higher power, I have that power.
Your higher power is God.
My higher power is God. For those character defects that I have, the fool, and please help me, the poor me, and Tinker Tailor Soldier Spy, the characters that we use when we're not connected to God. When I am connected to God through prayer, meditation, I am in spirit. So I am myself. I'm not those people. I'm not those characters, not those people. I'm not those
roles
characters.
that we play.
The roles that we play, the masks that we put on, the uniforms we put on. I go to God. Somebody's there, God help them, or that's powerful. God help them.
That's right. That is
Because
that
it's
word.
coming from my heart. It's coming from our heart,
Just
man.
that word alone, yeah.
Yeah, that word alone, or God.
I remember when you joined or when you went to the 12-step program first, and there wasn't a lot of people in this community doing it. There was a little bit of what I sensed in the community was a little bit of shame, or don't go there. In the last 40 years or 30 years since you're gone, I've noticed a big difference in this country, and this is a country of drinkers.
Yeah.
Where there's less shame, there's more honesty, there's more courage.
Yeah.
Especially, around NA or AA, Narcotics Anonymous or Alcoholics Anonymous. There's more and more and more and more people that I know, in their 20s, 30s, 40s, 70s, going to AA meetings and NA meetings. I just think it's really nice. It's
a disease, and the disease will tell us the shamefulness of it. That's the dark side of us. Will tell us shame and guilt and remorse, and look what you did on your husband, look what you did on your kids, but that's a spiritually sick part of me. I am spiritually well with this program, with the 12-step program. Spiritually sick part of me will tell me any mad stuff, and that's a lie. So I used to believe it. The more I believed it, the more I drank to quell this madness in my head, because it was all yang, no yin. There was no lie.
Yeah, there's no balance.
There's no balance. My mind was closed off to lie. My mind was closed off to any kind of love.
Your heart was closed.
And my heart was closed. And then my mind and heart opened.
I just think there's less shame. More people are going for it. More people are...
Because it's a disease, and we know it's a disease, and people are more educated these days.
Yeah, that's it. It's less of that person is just wrong or fucked, or there's something wrong with them. There's a physical disease. There's a
physical and mental.
Physiological and mental disease here. And we can treat
one triggers the others.
Yeah, and we can treat it in a number of ways. And one of them is by having honest conversations in a 12-step program.
Well, that's the fourth step. The principle of the fourth step is honesty. We admit that we're powerless over alcohol and our life is unmanageable. Honesty. Second step is faith. Came to believe that a power greater than ourselves could restore us to sanity. So we're insane. Before we come in here, an alcoholic who's not treated is insane.
So that's like a mental illness.
Mental health, yeah.
Yeah. It's
That's
more
what
than
I'm saying.
mental health, it's mental illness.
I don't know the difference in mental health
Well,
and mental
physical
illness.
health, let's imagine you weren't exercising, you would be physically unhealthy. If you don't exercise your mind, if you don't do meditation and so on, you can be mentally unfit, or you can have poor mental health. If you have a mental illness, it's like having a physical illness. You know what I mean? If I don't go to the gym, I don't have an illness. If I don't go to the gym, I'll put on weight. Yeah. But I could have a physical illness like cancer.
So is alcohol a mental illness? No,
alcoholism is a disease.
Alcoholism, being an alcoholic is to become mental illness.
Yeah.
Yeah, a disease of the body and the mind.
And the answer to that is prayer, meditation, putting your hand out to somebody, loving them, admitting that you have no power over anybody, and that's God's. There is no resentments. We get rid of the resentments in our steps, give them to God. If they come back, I write to God. I put God on the top of the page, so I'm writing to power greater than me, because the other power was my power. The ego is the power, very powerful darkness. And because I grew up with an alcoholic and I was in the darkness, I didn't know my way out. And the way out was the light. There was no light in my life, in my mind. My heart was closed.
So you basically hand everything over to God and let Him take control of it.
Every second of the day.
You heard that actor Denzel Washington. He said, "Put God first in your life. You will overcome all your troubles, worries, anxieties, and fears. He will take care of everything, but you got to put Him first in your life."
Number one, yeah. Bob Marley sang, "Give thanks and praise to the Lord,
right.
and it will be all right."
Very good. He's some good songs.
One love.
That's Bob. Give
One
thanks, Bob
heart.
Marley. Give thanks and praise.
The message is in the music. Mammy, that was amazing. That was the longest podcast we done.
It was good, wasn't it?
There was loads in that. There was bleeding love, light,
She's some
history.
talker when she gets going to talk.
Talked the bleeding head off a hammer.
And she had a better story to tell than what you taught him because you didn't know half of it.
I don't remember
Huh?
half of that shit. Bleeding
Probably because you never
lunches
asked.
and Dunleary and breakfast in my Auntie Agnes's and all. Episode
17.
Thanks, Mammy. So that's us for this episode, a Traveller and a Countryman podcast. If you like it, let us know, share it around, and we'll see you on the road.